Hey guys, what's going on? That sounds pretty good. Saint, go ahead and speak a little bit.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone.
Okay. So your voice is a little faint.
Who, me?
Let me turn that up a little bit.
No
Yeah, I'm gonna
worries.
turn you up a little bit, bud. All right, now. Okay,
Awesome.
now speak a little bit.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, that's better. How's that, everybody?
Yeah.
Can you hear it? Okay, I'm seeing excellent. All right,
Okay,
man.
awesome.
Thanks everybody for joining. Hello to Springtrap, Angsty, Jongers, Vortex, Sanctero, John, Phoenix, Savangard, Jay, DY, all of you. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it, you guys. So this stream is going to be different than what I've done before, you guys. Thankfully, Saint has decided to give us some tips and tricks to help us become better players. So that way, championship can become more competitive. Since that's the end goal in the game, I'll let him dive into more of that if he wants to. But I just want to say first, I just want to say thank you to him for offering this and joining us. And so, Saint, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Yeah, for those who know me, I'm Saint. I'm the Omega Guild leader and founder as well. So our guild focuses in King of Fighters All-Star championships. So some of you might have known me, and for those who don't, doesn't really matter. Hope today I can provide some insights on the details on what it takes to rank up and do better in the game, especially in the PvP aspect, of course. So thank you Fogo for hosting us. It's really a pleasure to get to know you. Our objectives of coming together today, guys, is to really grow the community. And like any other game community, it always boils down to the end game. Once everyone reaches the end game, do they gel together? Do they unify, and do they continue to grow the game? So it's a combination of both the developers listening to the community and as well as the community growing in itself. So yeah, figured this would be a win-win situation, to just hook up with Fogo Nation, and go through a couple of PvP videos and matches tonight, and share some insights and hope that everyone gains from it.
All right.
So yeah,
I'm just going to jump in here real quick. So all of you in the chat, if guys, I'm just going to let Saint do all the talking, let him go through all this. And then after, whenever he gives a cue, he takes some questions. Then maybe we can ask him some questions if you guys are interested on how to do something, or if you don't understand something, just put it in the comments when we reach that point. I don't want to interrupt him while he's trying to explain something. It'll get too convoluted. So we don't really want to do that. We want to let him finish. Because that's going to help all of us. It's going to make it easier for him. It's going to help all of us understand what's going on. Because believe me, guys, it's really good stuff. I was very impressed with his knowledge. I mean, that's really nice. So, Saint, I'm just going to let you go, bud. Take it over.
Yeah, no worries. So anyway, guys, so for questions and answers, we'll probably do it at the end of every round, which means in a game there's going to be a best of 3 rounds, right? So a race to 3 rounds. So there might be 5 matches within 5 rounds within one match. So basically, in one match, you have the possibility of having 5 Q&As. All right, so no worries. So how I normally do this, guys, is I'll be commenting on the video as the round proceeds, only after I watch the round. Okay, so for those, Neil, you're able to see the lobby screen, is that correct? In the friendly match.
Yeah, man. It's right in front of us. They see the exact same thing that I'm looking at.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
we're
guys,
good, but we're good.
Okay, so tonight's video, guys, will be featuring, of course, your favorite streamer, Fogo Nation himself, and a couple of friendly matches that he's been playing recently. So I think some of you might have watched this a couple of days back. I think this video was available on the 11th of September. So I wanted to just dive in and to focus on Foggle Nation's actual gameplay and a couple of his guests as well. Okay, so for friendly matches, guys, I know now championships are down and everyone's like playing friendly matches and stuff. You really want to focus on trying to balance out what do you call this? The friendly matches in terms of the accuracy to reflect that of championships. Okay, so what's been happening is that a lot of people are joining each other's games with different CPs and different leadership skills, so on and so forth. I highly recommend you don't do that. It's because you want to keep yourself warm for championships, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's your choice. I mean, you can have fun and decide to play around with crazy CP differences. It doesn't matter. But for those who want to keep things balanced, so there are a couple of rules to abide by in championship rules. So one is removal of leadership skills. How do you do that? Is that you put Chang 97. I recommend Chang 97 as your leader, and you just use two other characters. So when you hit when your first two characters dies and Chang goes in, it's considered you've lost the match. Okay. Second thing is to make sure CP differences are about 5 to 10,000 difference. You don't want to change it up too much. And then awakening levels should be in the same tier. So being in the same tier would be 11. Like, so for example, tier 1 or tier 2 would be 11 to 20. Like if you're awakening level 10, that's tier 1. So ideally it should be within the same tier as well. Okay. Reason for that is because stats on your base stats would be extremely inflated with multiplier effects from skills. All right. So that being said, let's just dive straight into the video. Okay, so I think Foggle Nation is gonna be playing Phoenix next. So yeah, just shout out to Phoenix. I think he's in the chat. Foggle, is that right?
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah. So Foggle, maybe you wanna introduce Phoenix. tell your guests or your viewers who Phoenix is.
Phoenix is a top player in global. He's reached #1 multiple times. He's in the top 3 all the time. Any of you that's ever played championship, you pretty much probably seen his name up there. He makes a lot of time attack videos. He's a terrific player, man, and a terrific person on top of that.
Yeah.
Really humble player considering how good he is. So it's always a pleasure to fight old Phoenix. It's always a pleasure. He's always in my Discord. He's always chatting it up. He's always trying to help everybody out. He's a good old boy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, correct.
I'm really, really proud to have met him, and when proud to met Saint too.
Yeah, so Phoenix is actually part of my guild. So in Omega Guild, we basically host, if I'm not mistaken, more than 50% of the top 40 players. I mean, one of the most recent players that joined us is Agora Vai, who I believe is the undisputed #1 player in Brazil, who's always in top 3. For myself, I'm always in top 30 to 40. So I just play enough just to keep myself warm. But that's because I work full time. But generally speaking, I've been top 10 quite a lot as well. It's just that these days time has just become I've shifted my time playing championships more to building and growing the community, especially the guild. So anyway, we'll just dive right in. So with any game you play, if there is drafting involved, then it will always consist of maybe the drafting phase it's like half the battle won if you draft well, guys. Okay, so for drafting, the general rule of thumb is you want to put your sweepers up front. So sweepers are people who are able to deal a lot of burst damage and able to carry that advantage in terms of power PG to the next round. So sweepers are, most famous sweepers are like Nameless, Goenitz, Psyche, so on and so forth, right? Pretty Zero is considered sweeper as well. So those are the kind of people you want to put up front usually, because you want to have a situation where you begin on equal advantage when no one has PG at the start of round #1. So if you look at the current lineup between Foggle and Phoenix, there's not exactly a sweeper in place. The closest person that you would call a sweeper in this case is probably Maxima. So Lady Maxima on paper is considered a sweeper, but she's still unproven because championships hasn't started yet and she recently came out. So in short, always put your sweepers up front. I'm so this so-called this advice that I'm giving is it's good for the average say 8K games, 7K games. Definitely put up your sweeper in front. However, once you hit higher level games, say 9K to 10K, usually the players there, we switch it up quite a lot. We don't always stick to the general advice that I'm giving today, but that's like a chess game and mind games for more advanced players. So sweeper first. The second person that you draft in your lineup, right, should have this ability to stop a sweep. So what I mean by having an ability to stop a sweep would be things like uh, core CC effects. So for example, Kula Diamond, as in Kula Valentine, and then you have Lady Big, who has the ability to stun after you hit it for 6 seconds. Or in this case, if you look at the lineup for Forgo, he has K-Fest. So K-Fest has the ability to trigger super armor, I think for 3 seconds. Is that right, Forgo?
Yeah, that's correct.
On crit, I think on a crit hit. So it's these kind of characters that you want to put in number 2. And the reason for that is because then you remove the advantage that your opponent gets after your opponent wins the first round, especially when the person carries PG to the next round. So your second guy is kind of there to stop the string or to stop the sweep. All right. And then for your third person, it's usually another sweeper. If not, then whatever remaining character is left. All right. So that's the general rule of thumb, guys. When it comes to drafting, it's extremely important that you adhere to those general rules, because I would say drafting it's almost 50 or 40% of the game is determined at the draft itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the video, and then let's see where the drafting is. Okay, so Forgo chose his sweeper first. Yeah, perfect. So as predicted, K-Fest is second. So if you look at Phoenix's so-called draft lineup, Phoenix chose a sweeper first, but not putting Lady Big as number 2, which I think is also okay. So I mean, after all, this is just friendly match. And to be fair to Forgo as well, the CP difference is a little bit high. So this match kind of favors Phoenix quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well,
So take note of this. Yeah, the CP differences do matter. Okay, so we'll just watch one round before I comment. So we'll see Lady Maxima versus Lady Maxima, and we'll see they slaughter each other before I start commenting again. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay. Okay, guys. So general, I know. So Lady Maxima just came out recently, and there's not a lot of insights and intel on her at the moment. But to be fair, I've been playing with her, and as well as Phoenix as well, and I get a lot of data and intel from within the guild. She's a highly underrated character. For those who don't know where she stands in the meta, I have a tier list available in the Net Marble forums. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. I mean, you can just ask around the chat, and pretty sure someone can pass you a link privately or something. But in short, Lady Maxima is underrated. I think the general consensus that I've heard from the forums is that she's not very strong, and I agree with that from the point of view where the average player uses her. So she's a little bit like Kamui, right? Where you need a little bit more skill in connecting and stringing her what do you call this? Her skills. Fogel, what do you think about this?
Well, honestly, I felt like she was one of the easier characters to chain together. I didn't really think she was really say as difficult as someone like K like to throw in his normies in between the active skills. Like I feel like she's just I don't know. I didn't think she was I mean, this video that we're watching is my first time playing with her. And so
Right.
obviously I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but she didn't feel, she didn't feel like she was that difficult, you know? Like when I was playing with Kay, I could feel the trying to learn thing, you know what I mean? Like trying to figure it out more so than her. I mean,
Right.
that's kind of how it felt, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no worries. So anyway, I think for Lady Maxima, right, I think this video will be a perfect showcasing of so-called her where she stands in the tier. So Phoenix would be really the perfect person to pull this off. So for those who don't know, my tier list is based off top players using the characters. So if just basically what it means is that when I made that tier list, I'm assuming like the best of the best are using them. So either no mistakes or the least amount of mistakes, and having the competency to string everything together. So I think in this video you'll be able to see that. Okay, so we'll begin with Foggle dashing forward, right? Okay, guys. So rule of thumb, right? When you're playing in championships, dashing and dodging too much is it's useful at say maybe 7 to 8K games, but the moment you start to hit players who are higher ranked, uh, dodging around too much kind of gets you punished. I'm sure Fogo has experienced this as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's my Achilles heel, if you will.
Yeah. So what it means, right, guys, is dodging works very well when you're playing against uh, say the average player once again. So maybe at 7K, 6K games, what happens is if you dodge, most of the time you can get away with it because your opponent doesn't have the ability to catch you. But once you start playing better players, they'll actually punish you very consistently as well. Okay, so just take note that this is usually a bad habit that I notice among players, and as well as people who I'm like helping to improve their game. It's like one of the very first things we always correct. Okay. Okay, so in this case, it turned out well for Forgo. So the thing that okay, so there's something about Lady Maxima which makes her really quite strong, and that's her immunity, right? Being 3 seconds, and if I'm not mistaken, refreshing every 20 seconds. Is that correct, Forgo? Do you know?
Uh, I know it's 3 seconds of immunity. I think it's on a 20-second cooldown.
Correct. Yeah, so that's a very big difference from I think the another person who has a similar skill is Pretty Zero. So Pretty Zero has a 2 second immunity, but the cooldown is longer than 20 seconds as well, if I'm not mistaken. So the way that you want to play this, right, is to use a single hit on her and not do what Foggle is doing. So what Foggle did, guys, is that once he broke guard with his S2, Foggle is using skills even though she's in the immune phase. So you want to take note when you're playing against immunity players not to waste your skills on them. So the whole idea of characters that have immunity skills, guys, is to actually bait your opponent to clash with you. So that includes Nameless, that includes Adele, so on and so forth. In fact, Nameless, for those who don't know as well, his S3, it's actually better used as a defensive skill than an offensive one. So of course, if you can string your S1 and S2 into S3, that's fine. But if you have an option to leave your S3 and you're on the defense because your opponent has 3 cooldowns available while only your S2 is available. Sorry, your S3 is available for Nameless. Then holding it back just before, say, let's see, a famous guy who can do a full string in 3 seconds. Say Rock Howard, right? So let's say Rock Howard zoning into you and he's about to use his S2, S1, S2 combo. If you use your S3 at the right timing and he wastes all 3 skills, it deals 0 damage to you. So that's the beauty about immunity skills. Most of the time, people like to use immunity skills to engage, but actually, it's an extremely powerful tool to use as defensive instead. Okay. Okay. So, okay, what happened here, guys? Okay, is if you see, okay, Phoenix blocking. Another thing that really kind of breaks you to the next level of PvP in championships, right, guys, is knowing when to block. So how characters are being gauged on when to block is understanding their skill, as in your opponent's skill. Which skill is the skill that gut breaks you, right? And then you got to gauge it based on distance from the enemy. So, in short, what that means is that you should. So, I'll give you a classic example. Let's say you're playing Goenitz, right? So, Goenitz it's very famous for casting his S1 and his S3 as and when in order to break in order to engage you. He won't cast his S2 first. So the idea here is to block most of the time when he's using S1 or S3 to engage you. And then when you choose to block is quite important. So it's choosing when to block should always be based off the knowledge of whether the opponent has a gut break skill available, which means not on cooldown, and or he's within distance of you. So in the case of Goenitz, Goenitz can gut break you if he's 2 character distance away from you with his S2. So if he's not within 2 character distances from you, generally speaking, you should be blocking a little bit more often than most. And then only when he comes within 2 character distance to you, you then need to decide, do I dodge this or do I use a counter skill, so on and so forth. But I can't just stay still anymore because I'm under threat from the gut break skill. So if you look at the meta of characters in championships these days, guys, a lot of them at the top have more than one option in terms of gut breaks or in terms of at least engaging you. All right. The idea is, how do you counter blocking? Characters that have solutions to breaking through a block or to bait out a block or to CC out of a block, those are the characters that shine a lot in championships. So this, unfortunately, Foggo, you used to like Ash quite a lot. Is that correct in your earlier videos?
I still like Ash. It's just he's one of those characters, at least for me, that falls short. He needs the Ryoga set to act. He needs Ignore Guard, and whenever he faces characters that don't have bleed, burn, or poison, he's not going to get that super armor unless you got an option card or you use a set that you don't want to use on him because he needs a Ryoga set. He needs that Ignore Guard. So you're he's one of them characters that if he's facing the characters with dot effects, it's all right. I mean, you can use him quite well then, especially if he has Ryoga on him. But because he does have immunity, he has insane heals. But if you aren't facing those kinds of characters, he's at a pretty big disadvantage. Because you can interrupt pretty much any skill he has pretty easily. If you have a character that just has super armor or hyper armor, they can easily get in there and interrupt him. Plus, it takes him a while to build his PG. He only has a 5 PG card, and he's one of those characters that he's pretty niche, unfortunately.
So my main point being, Ash is highly dependent on Rugal because he doesn't have a gut break, and that's why he's he's tiered very low in championships. And this is the same throughout how you tier characters, right? Characters that don't have the ability to gut break are usually tiered very low. So of course the exception to this is Nameless, because he has the ability to gain PG extremely fast, which then allows you to use his his 3 PG, which kind of gut breaks you. All right, so that's the exception. So general rule of thumb, guys, if you want to rank up fast in or faster and improve in your game in championships, you need to know how to deal with characters and their gut break skills. Everything rises and falls from this. You can ask all the top players, right? Once a gut break skill is used and it's on cooldown, that's the signal to the other player to engage, or it's safe to engage. Okay, or zone into your opponent. Okay, so let's continue watching. Okay, so if you look at Phoenix, right, guys? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a bit... okay. Okay, guys, so this is the reason why CP differences really matter. So I think Phoenix destroyed Foggo. If you look at Foggo's life, he's at 89%. So I think he killed Foggo in exactly one string. So let's just see. Yep, 1, 2 basics, 3 basics, 4. Okay, yeah, so so you might want to reduce your CP because of these reasons. It's not accurate. Okay, so guys, general rule of thumb when you're playing championships, right, is learning how to string in basic attacks like this. So if you look at Phoenix, once Phoenix was able to do a guard break skill on him, he's baiting out. I believe he's used up all his skills, and he's baiting out Forgo to do a dash. Okay, so this happens a lot in against better players, is that they understand that they've used their skills already. So Phoenix is, if you look at what happens just before, okay, so he understands that Forgo has used all his skills, uses the S2 to what do you call this? Guard break him, and uh, and generally speaking, most of the players would be spamming dodge by now when they're in the middle of a string. So this is one of the key things that's going to make you into also a better player, is knowing when to dodge and when not to dodge out of a string. Okay, so if you look what happens next, so Forgo's on the left, Phoenix is on the right. Phoenix actually just baits him and stays in just within the dodging distance. So what happens is he understands that if Forgo dodges to the right, Phoenix is just at the interception point. Okay, so he's gonna catch Forgo because he's baiting him to dodge with a basic attack. Okay, so there we go. So you're catching him on the animation that is vulnerable. Okay, so Forgo, I think I talked about this yesterday night with, or 2 days ago, about the animation about the dodge. Do you
Yes.
wanna share that with the audience?
Well, essentially, what happens is right when you get ready to dodge, you hit your dodge button. There's a moment at the very beginning where you can get hit, and then there's a moment at the very end of the dodge where you can get hit. There's a in the middle is actually where you're evading completely. And what good players do is they're baiting you to dodge, and they're trying to time it one way or another. They're either trying to catch you at the very beginning or they're trying to catch you at the very end. That's what they're waiting for. And whenever you're dodging, you gotta understand character distance, and
Yep.
understand how far your characters need to be away from your opposing character. Some characters, their attacks, can swoop in with 2 character distances. Some might need to be only 1 character distance. And Phoenix understands this, and that's exactly what he's doing right here. He's waiting for me. I'm going for the dodge, and look, he's already got his fist out. He's already
Yep.
doing his attack. He's catching me right when I'm going to come out of the middle of the dodge where I'm actually 100% evading him. He's going to catch me in that window right when I'm still going to be in the dodge, but I'm in a vulnerable state where he can actually hit me.
Yep.
Every time you dodge at the very beginning and the end, there is a small window where they can get a hold of you. And if they know how to time those skills, even their basic attacks, they can catch you.
Exactly. So so guys, so a lot of us, when we first began in this game, right, we'll wait for the dodge animation to end, and then we press a skill. It's too late by then. So the idea here is to actually catch a dodging player before the animation skill ends. So what is defined by an animation skill of a dodge ending is when the person stands up. So your brain will be perceiving, right, that oh, I'm gonna attack him, or I'm gonna cast a skill when he stands up. But it's too late by then. So the way the game is being designed, the game mechanics revolves around catching it towards the end of the dodge animation, as opposed to at the end of the dodge animation. Exactly how Forgo said it. So Forgo, you said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Actually, you probably said it better than me. So that was extremely well explained.
Well,
So
you explained it really well to me.
yeah. So if you look at the screen, guys, it's exactly what's happening right now. So Phoenix is already in the attacking position, and facing this phase of the dodge is just before the end, before Forgo is able to stand up, and he's able to damage Forgo already. See that? You see that, guys? Okay, let's go ahead. That
You can slow it down, right?
Yeah, I can slow it down. You're right. Okay, So Phoenix has changed his direction because he's baited. So another thing is, guys, so good players bait you to dodge, and they are already moving in the direction of your dodge as opposed to standing still. So this is what Phoenix did. Okay, so you see that? So Phoenix started using his attack skill before the dodge animation ended. And in this case, it's not even, sorry, I'm going to take it back. It wasn't even a skill. Phoenix had his skills on cooldown, and the only available ability is basic attacks. So basic attack, okay. Cancel basic once, twice, cancel basic thrice. Okay. And then using a skill. Okay. So which is, I think, S1. Okay, guys. So when you guys are comfortable, learn how to practice basic cancels. So what basic cancels do is that they allow you to string your basic attacks by canceling it and then going into the reset the basic attack animation and then hitting again. So the advantage to this, guys, is depending on character, the PG gains a little bit faster. But the main advantage of this is actually because you have faster attack intervals, which gives your opponent less chance to react. Okay. Assuming they're blocking, for example. So I don't know whether you guys have played against players who are using nameless and they use basic cancel on the first animation attack, and then they keep stringing that. Basically, the interval and gaps where you can actually counter him is a lot less probable with a basic cancel. And of course, another thing about basic cancel is, once again, depending on character, it can actually deal more DPS. Meaning you're able to dish out more damage doing a basic cancel. Okay. In the case of Maxima, definitely she does a lot more damage when you do basic cancel. It's because Maxima doesn't hit a lot of hits. She hits less hits, but deal more damage per hit. So the basic cancel kind of abuses this mechanic where usually people who hit less will do more damage in their basic attacks compared to someone who hits a lot of basic attacks in their string. Okay, so let's look again. So you can see the damage. One basic. Let's see the damage. Okay, so Foggo's at 39% health. Okay, let's just see it. Okay, you saw that turn right there, guys? That's what I meant by advanced players and baiting you to roll. Okay, you just watch Phoenix, okay? So Phoenix is zoning in, trying to bait him to roll, baited. And then if you look at Phoenix, he's about to switch directions. See that? So this is the mark of a very good player. In my opinion, most 9K players can do this. All right. Okay, so if you look at the health, it's 39%. Okay, so 39. So when you do cancel basic, this is the amount of damage you can actually do with Maxima. But she fits the profile, like I said. She hits less hits, but hits harder. So first hit. Okay, that's how many percent? 7%. Oh yeah, no, she's being electrocuted as well. So maybe it's 5%. Okay, so 5% again, and then 5% again. So that's an additional 15% of damage that Phoenix was able to dish out. And another thing about basic cancels, you also drag your string or your combo a little bit longer so that you buy time for your skills to be refreshed and then you're able to finish it off, which is exactly what Phoenix does using an S1 right here. Poor Foggo. Foggo, can you see yourself? Man, that's so pain. Ouch, the slow-mo is so funny. Ouch. Yeah, okay, so that concludes the end of the first round. Maybe you can take some questions. Foggo, you wanna
Well, how do you do basic cancels?
Say that again, sorry?
How do you do the cancel basics? How do you like? I've seen some questions where they were asking how do you do it, and I thought that was a good one.
Sure, no worries. Foggo, do you know how to do it?
Don't you hit the guard?
Okay, so it's a little bit more complicated than that, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so it's moving forward or backwards while attacking with your basic attack, and then pressing your guard, and still holding the direction that you begin with. you catch that, guys? So to do a basic cancel combo, it's your basic attack while having a direction forward or backwards. Okay, so it depends on certain characters. Can do a basic combo better when they're pressing backwards. So people like Lolly Kim, John Cena, Infinite in the corner. What's her name? Belona. Leona Fest. She can do an infinite basic cancel using back direction, the opposite direction that you're moving. John Cena in the corner can do an infinite as well. Lolly Kim, and my personal favorite, which I kind of love doing it because it cracks me up, is Lady Brian or Brianna, like how I like to call her. You know, when she does her crouch kick or whatever it is, crouch kick. So if you want to do that infinite kick in the, not really in the corner, but if you want to do it in the middle of the field, then you got to do the opposite direction, and then basic attack, and then cancel. Okay, so I'll say it again, guys. To basic cancel, when you're pressing the attack button, make sure you're either holding forward or backwards. Once you do that, depending on when, it's up to you. Most characters have different attack animation gaps. So you can cancel at different gaps. Okay, so I think probably one of the more famous examples would be, okay, let's use Nameless. Nameless can basic cancel on his first hit or after his third hit of his basic attack. So his basic attack, his first hit is, I think he stretches his arm and it looks like a needle, right? And then his second hit is still a hit with his fist, but his third hit or fourth hit is where he swings his leg.
Yeah.
Fogo,
Axe
do you
kick.
remember the animation?
Huh?
Do you remember the animation where he's
Yeah,
Nameless swings?
he throws an axe kick at the end of it.
Yeah, correct. So it's an X kick, exactly. That's what it's called. Yeah. So you can actually cancel, do a basic cancel at the X kick moment, or you can do a basic cancel after the first hit. I don't recommend the first hit ones, because a lot of people kind of screw that. I mean, even Phoenix himself. Phoenix has lost a round to me before because he tried to be funny and did a basic cancel with a first attack. And I think I was using Rugal or something, and it gave me enough time to recover, and I could use S3 and then I stunned him. I still remember that. So my point being is, basic cancel on the first hit is a lot harder because your intervals where your thumb needs to press the block and basic attack needs to be very consistent and needs to be really fast as well. I usually recommend at the second gap, which is usually the third or fourth hit. So a lot of characters can do this on the third or fourth hit. Rock Howard can do basic cancel on the second hit or can do basic cancel on the fourth hit. I recommend the fourth hit for Rock Howard. It's pretty easy. So Rock Howard also does an X kick. You know, there's so many characters. For Maxima, definitely recommend basic cancel at the first hit because her first hit deals a lot of damage and the animation is long enough to, you know, for your brain to cycle when I should be doing it. So I say again, guys, to do a basic cancel is pressing a basic attack while moving forward or backwards, depending on which character you're using. And then press block and then repeat, rinse and repeat. All right. Fogo, do you want to take another?
So directional, depending on the character, depends on how many hits you do. Guard, you're going to hold the direction in the same direction the whole time you're doing it, correct?
That's right.
You don't ever want to let off that, right?
Correct. If you don't hold the direction, your basic cancel doesn't reset. That's the thing. So you guys can test it out in the training room. Oh man, but the training room isn't available anymore.
I know, it sucks. Actually, Phoenix did it to me already on a live stream. He was showing us all this, and I wanted to practice it, but yeah, you know, it would give me kind of rough.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to take another question, or should we move on? It's your call, Fogo.
Do you guys have any questions up until this point? Are there, whenever you're dodging these opponents, right? You know, and you got those open windows where you can catch them. Is it different for different characters?
Yes, it is. So I don't know why you notice Orochi Shermie, when she dodges, it's a different animation length of dodge as well. So length of the dodge and the animation time as well.
I understand. I got you.
Sorry, not length of the dodge, the distance of the dodge and the length of the animation. So I don't know where you guys notice. So different characters have slightly different dodge animations. I have to admit, the most uh, Orichi Shermie is considered an extreme example of it because for her it's like it's I think she's an exception where the dodge distance or length and time is just so different from everybody else. So if you look at gold characters, some gold characters can dodge better than Orochi Shermie, in my opinion.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I
but
gotcha.
general rule of thumb, most dodge animations are roughly the same.
Another.
Those that have an advantage in dodging, guys, is that the animation doesn't show up. So it looks as if they are teleporting. So for example, Goenitz, people like Goenitz and Psyche, right? They have an advantage in terms of the animation visual aspect of it. But here's the beautiful thing, right? You can still catch them even though they are invisible. That's my point. It's just whether or not you understand the timing. Because how the hitbox works in fighting games, guys, is that the invulnerable phrase and the vulnerable phase of the dodge animation, even though you can't see the visual cue of the character, but his hitbox is still available for you to hit. That's my point. So if you guys want to read up more on hitbox and understanding how fighting games are coded, I think that will open your eyes on doing well in this game as well. Yeah. Sorry, Fogo, you're saying?
No, I get it. So a character like Ignis is kind of like that too, right? I mean, he doesn't exactly teleport that way. He's not like Goenitz, but it's kind of. I mean, he kind of dashes across, floating up in the air.
Correct.
But he stays visible.
Okay, so let me tell you how it all works, okay, guys. So it's how your brain perceives information. So we call this frames per second. So if an animation of a dodge has less frames per second, as opposed to someone that shows a lot of frames in that animation, your brain perceives that the dodge is faster or slower accordingly. That's how it all works. That's why when it comes to countering a Ignitz or when trying to predict, or punish him or so on and so forth is a lot harder, and as well as Goenitz and Psyche. It's because what your brain is able to see is basically less frames of that animation, as opposed to someone when they dodge is extremely obvious. So that is the reason why these guys, when they dodge, they have an advantage because it's a visual thing. The brain cannot process information as fast because you can't see that frame. So for those who play games or use high refresh rate mobile phones, you guys can see the difference, and it really helps in terms of performance. So it's the same here, except that now it's at the software level, which means Netmarble decided to code, Ignitz and Psyche and Goenitz.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, this is gonna seem like maybe kind of a complicated question, but I've seen quite a few comments asking about when to dodge and when to block, and I know that's really going to vary depending on the characters you're facing.
Yeah, so no, I'll be able to answer it. It's really easy. So when you block, right? Okay, so basically, you should always block almost all the time. As long as the opponent is okay. So how you block is having the knowledge of which character you're up against. So once you have a character that has a guard break skill, I always like to use Goenitz, right? A lot of people fear Goenitz. Actually, the only thing you should fear about Goenitz is his S2, because that's the thing that is able to break your what's the word? Break your guard. So choosing when to block is always a factor of whether or not your opponent has already used his guard break skill. Once your opponent has used his guard break skill, you just block out the way. So I'll just give you an example. John Cena, right? Everyone fears John Cena. Everyone tries to dodge John Cena. But actually, you only need to you can actually block John Cena a lot more often because he only has one catching skill, which is S3. So the moment he misses his S3, by all means, block. Block, 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 block. Same thing with Terry. So Fogo, why don't you explain to the viewers what happened last night when we were testing on Terry, right?
Well, I got spanked, is what happened. Got spanked by old Terry. Because
Tell them about your fear about the S2. Yeah.
well, the S2 guard breaks you. But it's Terry's one of those characters, and I just learned this from Saint actually, that he's a character that if he's close to you, he'll be able to guard break you with that S2.
Yep.
But if he's like 2 character distances away, correct? He's just too far.
No, three.
3 character distance. Okay, 3 character distances away. And that's something that always gets me because the thing about Terry that's a pain in the butt, and this is something I didn't even realize, I didn't even know this actually until recently talking to Saint, is that he has his first and third skill have hidden interrupt skills. And it's it really it threw me off big time. As long as he's standing anyways.
Yeah. So my point being is Terry isn't actually very threatening because his S2 which breaks. First of all, it's not an armor skill. Second, it actually has to be quite close before it's effective. So if you want to know who's threatening, right? People with very long distance guard break skills. So in my opinion, Rock Howard S2 is an extremely strong guard break skill.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty the Rock S3 is pretty fast as well, but it's not as strong as S2 from Rock Howard because it doesn't have armor. So another one that's Vice, her S3 is a guard break skill, is also quite long, fast, as well as it has armor. So the idea here is you block according to the knowledge that your opponent has his guard break skill not available. As in, it's not available, you can block. If it's available, then you gotta look at the distance of where the opponent is, having the knowledge of how fast that guard break skill is able to reach you. That's the key on when you choose to dodge and when you choose to use a counter skill or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is very true for Goenitz. So in other words, right, you should block almost all the time when up against a Goenitz because his S1's available. I mean, period, right? And then you only start to decide to dodge if he starts to close in on you because he needs a 2 character distance away from you before he uses his guard break skill. So that's how you gauge when to use your dodge and when to use your counter skill. So the trigger is Goenitz is within a threatening range and he's able to guard break me. So blocking isn't enough anymore. I need to either dodge or use a skill. See the point? So that's how you decide in general because this is a simple framework. It's a simple logic framework that I can't go through every single matchup because we don't have enough time. But use this logic framework across every single character and you'll realize that that's how you actually choose when to dodge, when to use a counter skill, and when to block. Okay, so that's the decision framework. Right?
So I'll just jump in here real quick about the Terry thing with me. So what happened with me when I was facing Saint when he was using his Terry is I wasn't dodging the damn second skill. And that's the skill I should have been dodging and blocking the other S1 and S3. And that's where I was screwing up because I was trying to dodge all of those skills.
Yep.
And like we talked about earlier with the dodging, he was able to catch me over and over and over.
Yep. So when you're playing against players who are more experienced or better at catching or whatever you call them, dodging a lot really punishes you. So rule of thumb is don't dodge unless you absolutely have to. But frankly speaking, when you're playing against top players, so when it's top players versus top players, right, we do mix it up. So this rule of thumb that I'm explaining to you works very well for the average player. So I'm able to consistently beat usually from 7K all the way to 8 point, actually all the way in 9K. Yeah. So normally I don't have issues reaching 9K. But that's because I'm doing all these things very consistently, right? But once you hit even higher ranked players like 9K to 10K, right? Then what I just explained in this session about when to dodge and when to block, you gotta learn how to mix it up, which means you don't always follow the rule of thumb, because Otherwise, your opponent will actually be able to predict what you're doing as well. You know, when you're playing against really top end players, right? Everything else changes. So I noticed, like, if you look at Phoenix when he plays top end players, when he's playing against or the average player, he changes his tactics accordingly. Yeah. So you got to mix things up. Okay. Forgot any more questions? Otherwise, we'll move on.
No, I mean, I think we can move on now.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the second round, which is Maxima versus K. Okay, so we'll just watch it to the end, guys.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Same thing as earlier.
Okay. Okay, guys. So I think the first thing I want to comment about this round, right, is what do you do when your opponent starts the round with 3PG? I think that's the first thing that you need to address usually when you're playing the second round where you lost the first round. Okay. So I don't know whether you guys watch Snow, but she does this quite well. Snow, who's a Japan championship player, she streams on YouTube as well. I think she's pretty popular. So she understands that if I start the round with against an opponent with 3PG, my role is not to engage the opponent as much as it is for me to bait him to use his 3PG. Okay. So the reason why you should have this kind of mindset, right, is because the player, in this case Phoenix, he's preparing in his head to use his 3PG when KFest uses his his skills to engage me or is trying to corner me. Okay. So what I'm thinking, what Phoenix is probably thinking in his head, there's two options for me now. One, I can, do a bit of damage, maybe some block damage, or maybe I catch him off guard with my S1 skill or S3 skill. Or I just wait for him to make a mistake to come at me so that I can punish him with my 3PG and then continue my string. Now, frankly speaking, I think this latter is a better option because you're able to do more effective damage over one string, which is exactly what Foggo is going to be doing. If you can see, Foggo dodges here once, okay, and he's thinking, I'm going to engage Phoenix. Now, Foggo, so I think this is not a good move.
No. Well, in hindsight, no.
Yeah, generally speaking, reason for this is because the opponent has this like if you use your skills and they counter you with a 3PG, right? It kind of it breaks your, what do you call this? It breaks your core as well because I don't know, you notice, right? The best move for Phoenix is to actually wait for you to do a first move. Simply because you have your core super armor, which can be broken by the 3PG.
Mm-hmm.
You know about that, right, Foggo?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. So you have a couple of options. One is you can wait for opponent to engage, which I think is pretty hard against the Lady Maxima because she has 2 blaster skills. So I'm going to be very fair to Foggo as well. But in my opinion, this is extremely what's the word? It's a tough situation for you to be in. Yeah. The only
It's a
thing I can
bad
recommend.
idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. Correct. So this is probably okay. So what you could have done, right, is maybe when you dodge forward, you bait it first. So you dodge forward and then maybe you move backwards. Do you know what I mean?
I got
So
you.
a
I
common
got you.
bad habit that players have, say the average player again, which is roughly 7 to 8K. Actually, no, the average player is probably high 6K. But anyway, my point being is, it's a very bad habit to dodge and then immediately use a skill. So if you watch Phoenix's stream and his matches, right, he's able to predict and avoid and dodge because most players, when they dodge, they spam the skill immediately. So this is a sign of I call it a bad habit, yeah, because it's very easy to predict that you're gonna engage me and then I can just dodge accordingly. So if you look at better players, what they'll do is that they might dodge forward, they'll do a basic attack and then move backwards, or they dodge forward and then move backwards a bit, and then they just kind of do, they just try to confuse you and not do exactly what you expected them to do. That's the whole idea. So that's what Fogel could have done. So maybe if he had dodged forward like this, use a basic attack and then dodge backwards, then maybe Phoenix would have been baited to use his S3. Sorry, not S3, 3PG, so on and so forth. Right. But if you forward immediately and then use a skill, because Phoenix, his hand is probably already preparing to use his 3PG right now because he knows you're going to engage him. Right. So what does he do? He uses his 3PG. Exactly. There we go. Okay.
There's my super armor.
Yep. Okay, so another thing to decide whether or not you should engage or in the situation where you lose the first round, that means should you engage on the second round? Another decision is how much life does your opponent have? In this case, Fogel is probably forced to engage first because Phoenix has 80+% life. If Phoenix has 30 or 20% life, then Fogel, you can actually be waiting for Phoenix to engage you. Do you understand where I'm coming from now, guys? Yeah, the reason for that is because whoever has less life usually has to be pressured to engage. Because after all, there's a timer in the game, so on and so forth, right? So you gotta make those kind of decisions depending on how much life your opponent has as well, guys. Okay. Okay, so this is a very interesting sequence next. So after Phoenix damages Fogel with his 3PG, right? I think it's just a lack of knowledge. Or he's either experimenting, but basically he uses S3 and then S1. Okay, so what he did here is he did a basic attack and then he used a S2, right? So the distance was way short. So I'm not sure whether he could have done a dodge first and then do a S2. But the point is he fell short, and I suspect it's because Phoenix hasn't practiced with Lady Maxima enough yet. We call this a combo error, where you don't understand what happens after you use a 3PG and how do you continue using your whole set of skills in order to do even more damage. So combo errors, for example, like immediately after a 3PG for Nameless, let's say you cancel early, a combo error is to use S2 when you're within one distance away from the guy when he's on the floor. What will happen is you actually jump past him and use S2 into the floor without hitting him. Okay, so to combat this kind of issues is to understand your character a lot by playing more with them and practicing, in FM and going to the training room. Basically, you want to learn how to deal the full amount of damage, especially after you use a 3PG. How do you string the full damage after? Okay. Okay, so there we go. So you see another bait. Okay, so watch. So S1, S2, S1, sorry, S3, S1. Phoenixes uses the S2. But what's happening next? 99, not 99. I would say 80% of the players will be dodging right now. Okay, so once again, Phoenix is just waiting for the dodge to happen. So this happens all the time against like average players, so on and so forth. Everyone's just timing dodge when they're in the middle of a string. Like if you watch good players like Jurgen, who's from Korea, he doesn't always press dodge. He waits for the opportunity to stand up first and then decide what he's going to do next, as opposed to pressing dodge all the time. So he has two options: either he dodges or he waits for for his character to stand up. Okay. Fogel, do you remember the conversation about this yesterday? When do you choose to stand up and when do you choose to dodge in the middle of a string?
It depends on if they have the on the ground skills, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it depends. Like if they've used their on the ground skills, or if they've used, or if they haven't. It just depends on what skills they've used so far. So you have to be aware of what the character's doing. You have to be aware. You have to know the skills of each character you're facing, and having that knowledge, and then seeing, okay, well, he used skill 1. That's an on the ground skill, just as an example. Okay, he's already used that. His other 2 skills are not on the ground. So I know that, if I'm laying there and he's already used his on the ground skill, he can't hit me.
That's right. So the best option is to actually not dodge. let yourself get up on after the string is over, because if you dodge, you're giving an opportunity to your opponent to continue the string with his non on the ground skills, and you always have one non on the ground skill available, which is your basic attack. So against super advanced players, this one would be 10k players, right? They really abuse the basic attacks. If they run out of all skills and OTG skills, and if you dodge right, they'll time it in such a way where they'll interrupt you with a basic attack even. Okay, so my point here being is your knowledge on when to dodge needs to align with your knowledge of your opponent's characters, whether or not their on the ground skills are on cooldown. So I'll give you a very classic example. How many of you hate Lady Big's juggling? Okay,
I do.
everyone hates it. I hate it as well. Okay, but the key to so-called understanding how to get out of the juggle is to not dodge all the time. That's the key. Okay, so there are two exceptions to this. One is her S. Let's say she's used her S3 and S2, and her only skill available is S1. It's okay to dodge, because if you dodge, the S1 cannot what's the word? Reach you immediately. So you have enough window for you to block. So that's one. The second exception would be when she uses a S1 and S3 already, and you're in the middle of a juggle, and the only thing available left is S2. Do not dodge. Reason for that is because if you dodge, right, S2 can just hit you. Okay. However, there are a couple of things to also take note. She has the ability to do on the ground with her basic attack as well. So it could be a situation where if you're on the floor and instead of dodging, at least you don't concede her S2 hitting you. You will then only concede the basic attack, and it's possible to use interrupt skills. It's possible to use awakening skills. But here's the catch as well. Not everybody knows that her basic attack is on the ground skill. So when you're playing against the average Lady Big, if she uses a S1 already and an S3 in the string, then don't dodge. Just let her finish her animation. Sorry, let yourself finish the animation of standing up. And then you have options after that. Because if you dodge, then the person will just press S2 and then, continue the string. Okay? So that's when you choose to decide when to use dodge in the middle of a juggle. Yeah. Okay, so we'll continue. So if you look at this situation, that's exactly what Pogo does, which is he's in the middle of a juggle, right? So this is the juggle. Like he's spamming dodge, and in Phoenix's head, he's thinking, quickly dodge, please, quickly dodge, because I want to catch you. And this is exactly what happens. So once again, it's a catch with a basic attack. Oh, okay. So in this case, so to be fair, Phoenix missed the timing. So top players are not perfect. They can miss as well. Okay. So if you look at, I think I want to bring up the scenario of Omega Rugal, because I think Omega Rugal is one of the few characters, right, that requires you to have a lot of knowledge and practice based off your distance from the enemy to catch them. How many times have you used God Press and missed the enemy, even though it seems like they're very close to you, right? So a lot of it boils down to the timing of the dodge, which means the catching them at the end of the dodge just before the end of the dodge as opposed to the end of the dodge. So this is the kind of situation as well. When you're zoning your opponents like this, and you got to reposition yourself where you can catch them quite easily on the counter dodge, or in this case, Foggo is dodging right next to Phoenix. That's ideal. So it's the same thing with Rugal. You can actually catch people with your S1 with Rugal or S3 Rugal if they keep spamming dodge. And it's quite easy to continue the string that way. So you want to take note of this idea of zoning your opponents and predicting their dodge. Okay, so what happened here, guys? Let me show you. Okay. Do you know why Phoenix is blocking, guys? After he tries to, so Phoenix misses his basic attack, and why he's blocking. Okay, look at the cooldown of Foggo Nation. So remember the question just now that you guys posed earlier on blocking. when should you block, when should you not block. So because Phoenix has knowledge that K has wasted his only guard break skill, which is S3, agreed? Foggle?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Phoenix feels safe enough to block. Okay? So the reason why Phoenix chooses to dodge here is because K decided to dodge. Okay, so take note. If you're gonna dodge like this, guys, and like I said, the average player after they dodge will immediately press a skill. So Phoenix understands this and therefore he's dodging, like right now. Because he knows that he's in the animation of the skill that's being pressed already. So you want to take note that when you're playing against better players, don't always do this. Sometimes, right, you can dodge and then stand still and don't do nothing, and your opponent will dodge past you and then you punish them. Okay, I do this a lot with the Rock, as in Rock Johnson. Generally speaking, I'm quite a catching player, so I mix things up quite a lot, and I know when to catch the opponent, so on and so forth. So Phoenix does exactly this because he predicted that Foggle would dodge past him like this. Once dodging past, he predicted that Foggle will be using a skill. So then he just dodges as well. See? Anyway, Foggle, okay, you want to take note, guys. When your gut break skill isn't available like this, when your gut break skill isn't available, so if you look at what Foggle has in his arsenal right now, his gut break skill is on cooldown. If you use your S1 or your S2, it really doesn't really achieve much other than block damage. Or I mean, what's the odds of you catching that you
Well,
catch a good player and he doesn't block it?
well,
In my opinion, sorry, Foggle, you're saying?
well. I was just gonna say the big massive mistake that I was making right there is he's got his super armor up, and I can't even stop him even if I tried. Right? I mean, he's he's going to interrupt my skill no matter what.
Yeah, he chose not to. He chose not to. So if you're
but I
playing
was
against
silly to
using,
attack him.
yeah,
I played way too aggressive, honestly.
yeah. So I call this we call this the panic counter. That's when you just recovered from a juggle, you feel you're pressurized to deal damage to your opponent. But sometimes it really takes the discipline to recognize that you actually can't damage your opponent until your gut break skill is available. So you need to have the mindset of going back into neutral. Get my point? So going to neutral will be exactly what happens next. Because for Phoenix himself, he's waiting for his cooldowns. So you see, so Phoenix moves back and you move to the left. So this is what we call going back to neutral, guys, where everyone's waiting for their cooldowns to go back to 0. Okay, and then kind of like the round resets. Okay. Okay, so this is interesting. You caught him. I hope you use basics. Oh, she's on immune. Terrible.
Yeah.
Basic.
Yeah.
Basic. Okay, guys. So lesson number 1: if Foggle had saved his S1 just now, he could have dealt in the continued the string right here. So this is my point. How many times have you fought a Terry, right, where after he misses his S2, Terry still decides to use his S1 and S3 even though you're blocking? Like,
Yeah.
so that
I do
is a
that,
very
actually.
big mistake. Don't do that. It's really bad. So if you're playing against good players, you get punished really badly for this. So once again, the decision on when to go back to neutral is extremely important. So if you miss your guard break skill, your brain should be asking, do I go back to neutral so that I buy time for my guard break skill to come back? Or is there really a chance that I can pressurize my opponent? Is my opponent a dodger, which means he likes to dodge a lot? Can I still catch him? So I can quote one player who's a dodger, who dodges more than the average top player. His name is Akash. I'm pretty sure you guys played against him before. So if you're playing against Akash, then
I know him.
yeah. So if you're playing against Akash, then you could have that decision. Okay, never mind. I can catch him. I don't have to go back to neutral. But my point is, you need to make those split-second decisions. When do you go back to neutral? When do you not go back to neutral? Because can I really deal damage if I don't have my guard break skill? Those are the important questions that you all need to address. If you want to start to play more consistently and rank up as well. So in this case, Forgo decided to use his S1 just now, and because of that, he cannot continue the string. See? And by the way, it's quite a big decision, you know. If he had his S1 right now, which means here, if he used his S1 right now, right, guys, what it means is, okay, so how the S1 works for KFast, right, is that it buys you about 2 more seconds of cooldown for the rest of your skills. That's how you should be thinking in your head. Because how it works is once your the first initial S1 animation, you kick him in the air. And then the second one is when the fireball pushes your opponent all the way to the other side of the screen. If you think about it, that buys you 2 to 3 seconds of refresh time. So if you look at the cooldowns on KFast right now, if his S1 was available, what would that mean effectively is that after the S1 is over and when Phoenix can become a threat to him again, his cooldowns for his S2 and S4 are either finished or nearly finished. Okay, in other words, they are available so that you can continue to be you can counter the threat. But because he doesn't have his S1, what does Phoenix do? He's able to now engage you because he knows your cooldowns are on 3 seconds. Okay, and there's nothing much you can do. Okay, so in this case, he doesn't know that your cooldowns are 3 seconds. So if you look at what Phoenix does an awakening skill, which means he thinks that KFast has his S3 available. Yeah. So we call this a mistake. So when you waste a awakening like that, when your opponent doesn't have a, a guard break skill available, that's a wasted awakening, basically. Anyway, to be fair to Phoenix, you don't have to save your awakening skill for KFast because you can't awaken away from his 3PG. Damn it. Have you seen that awakening? Have you seen that before? Because my understanding is it's not possible for Go.
I haven't. No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so there's certain characters that you don't need to save your awakening for their 3PG, as in your opponent's 3PG. Lolly Cheng is one of them. But most other characters, you want to save your 3PG to kind of stop the 3. You want to save your awakening skill for the counter to the 3PG. Okay, so same thing. What Forgo does, he feels pressurized to deal damage to your opponent because he has less life, whatever. Doing this kind of move, I would recommend not using your blaster move like that unless you have S1 or S2 available. So there are a couple of reasons for that. If you have your S1 or S2 available, what will happen is maybe your opponent might dodge the projectile, and then you can catch them during dodge, and or you are able to walk up to the enemy while he's blocking the blaster, and then use your guard break skill. Got it? So this happens a lot with Omega Rugal. Depending on the distance, if you choose to block the stun ball, there's a window for Rugal to God press you while blocking. So these are the decisions to take note of when you're using blaster skills out of nowhere. So for example, if you're using Terry, if you use his power wave, which is S3, right? In your mind, you're thinking, I have, if he dodges, I'm going to S1 him. That's one. Or if he dodges, I can S2 him, which is a bit tougher because the animation speed is slower than S1. Or are you at the right distance when you use S3 and he blocks, you have enough time to close the gap and use S2 while he's blocking. So those are the kind of things that you need to make a decision on when to use a blaster skill. If it's just random like this, where Forgo is just using his blaster skill, and then all his other cooldowns are not available, it's just wasting a skill straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bad habit of mine, actually. Doing a skill from a distance that I shouldn't do, or doing what I just did. And at the beginning of the match, where Phoenix had his PG ready to do his ultimate skill or special skill, I wasn't paying attention to the PG gain. That's a bad habit of mine. I don't pay attention to PG gain a lot of times. I'm actually just looking in the middle of the screen, and that's a huge problem of mine. It's like remember I told you about the Muay Thai experiences with blinking? That's kind of what it's like. I had this bad habit where I'm not paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to just the characters themselves and my skills. And yeah, those are a few things that I do all the time that get me killed.
Yep. So I think we'll come to
Mhm.
the end to this match. Shall we do a quick Q&A? Or do you have any questions first? I mean, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, me and you have already like you went over a lot of this stuff with me already, so I feel pretty good about it. Do any of you guys in the comments have any questions? You know, anything you're curious about? Question time.
Oh, someone typed in Russian, right?
Yeah, we got some Russian buddies in the Discord.
How good is
Set cards? Why can't we see John Cena?
it?
They're asking about set cards. I'm hearing that quite a bit. Talk about set cards.
I see a question. How good is KFS? Maybe I'll answer that question. I think KFS is pretty nasty in a 5-draft format, guys. If it's 6-draft, things will change. The reason why I say KFS is nasty in a 5-draft format is because in a 5-draft format, you'll most likely face sweepers. And in my
Mhm.
opinion, KFS does quite well against sweepers, relatively speaking, compared to against another non-sweeper like Lady Big, for example.
Mhm.
So in the current meta of things at 5-draft, right, he's pretty decent. Reason for that, like I said, sweepers are very dependent on their 3PG to sweep the game and to win rounds. And how KFS works is that he has the ability to remove 40% PG when against a sweeper, which in other words, right, nameless versus KFS, I put my money on KFS. Yeah. Okay.
Someone asked what a 5-draft is. It's whenever you're playing championship, we have the 5-draft and there's going to be a 6-draft. There's 6-draft already in JP. What it is you'll have, if it's a 6-draft, there's 6 characters and you're going to ban 3 of them. If it's a 5-draft, there'll be 5 characters and you'll ban 2 of them. That way it's 3-on-3. That's what he means by the draft. That's what he's talking about.
Correct. Yeah. So in the 5-draft format, KFS is quite a threat. In the 6-draft, he's less of a threat. So if you guys see my tier list in Netmarble forums, you should be able to see that I put K in tier 2, which is just one tier below Goenitz, Psyche, Lady Big, and John Cena. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why KFS is ranked high. I know some of you. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of feedback that they actually don't think KFS is that strong. I actually agree with them, but it's because of the nature of the 5-draft. That's why he's being tiered this way. So if you look at Jurgen's list, I think it'll be very different. People who are in JP and in Korea servers, they have a 6-draft format, and their tier list is it has certain differences from my tier list, but that's because of the not little difference actually, the significant difference that one is 5-draft, the other one 6-draft.
3 times Rage is asking, can K13 counter Goenitz?
Nobody counters Goenitz.
Goenitz is a monster, man.
I'm just going to straight up say it, guys. If you're Goenitz, right, there's a reason why Jurgen always bans Goenitz. It's because there's no one that can directly counter him at the moment. If you're playing against an extremely skilled Goenitz, it's just really, really tough to stop him. It's just extremely tough. And the reason why KFS doesn't directly counter Goenitz, right, is because KFS's how do you call it? His weakness is that he's dependent on his S3. That's it.
Yeah.
If you look at certain characters, right, there are a couple of characters. Okay, what makes tier 1 characters much better than tier 2 characters is that they have more than one options to engage the opponent. They have at least 2 options. That's where it all boils down to, guys. So there's a limitation to how strong KFS can be. It's because he has only one gut break skill. Same thing as Lolly Kim, one gut break skill. Those people who have only one gut break skill and no cause that can help to guard break or to counter attack. So counter attack, I consider counter attack another guard break skill, even though it's not really guard break. Because how it works is that at least you can damage your opponents while they're engaging you. Okay, the whole idea here is to understand that there's always a limitation if a if you know if one character has only one guard break skill and doesn't have the ability to gain 3 PG fast as well. So I consider gaining 3 PG fast also another guard break skill, guys. So that's why sweepers are a big threat. KFest doesn't gain 3 PG as fast as say Goenitz. So in my opinion, KFest is still has only one guard break skill. So technically, if he misses his S3, then it's downhill from there for KFest. Yeah.
Let's see. What's her name? Master. There. Someone was asking about your tier list.
Oh yeah.
He wants
It's
the link in the.
just go. I mean, I don't. It's pretty obvious. Just go to Netmarble forums and then search for Saints tier list or type the word nomination list. You'll get it. It has like, I think it has 3,000 or 4,000 views or something like that. It's pretty commonly clicked on. Yeah. Or you can join our Discord. Sorry, Foggo, do you leave our Discord channel link?
Johnny,
in the
Phoenix has.
No, I meant in the YouTube, like, in the not the comment section, like in the YouTube description section, whatever the word is.
No, but I will.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I can do that as we're speaking right now.
Yeah.
I was also seeing some questions about Iori 13. What do you think about him? Like, is he, how do you use him well? Is kind of the questions I'm hearing.
Yeah. So Yori 13, once again, the reason why he can't get up as high, he'll be in meta during traditional fast weeks, but he can't go in no restrictions. It's not too strong. It's because of his guard break skill being so okay. How do you gauge how good a guard break skill is? So how high a person goes up in the meta is number of guard break skills, and then the subset of that is how fast are these guard break skills? That means, do they cover a good distance? Do they animate really fast? All those are very important questions. So the more you score on this kind of criteria, the higher the meta the character will go. Simple as that. So if you look at Claw Yori, right, his guard break skill is not a confirmation. That's the problem. It's 70%. Okay. If you watch Yurgen, Yurgen tends to block quite a lot against Claw Yori. Okay. And all clash with him knowing that the counter attack is coming. But my point being is it's a 70% chance of guard break. And the second thing is the distance for that guard break skill is quite short, relatively speaking. I mean, compared to a guard break skill of KFS, for example, it's fast and it's long. Okay. So Claw Yori, in that sense, he loses out in no restrictions week because of these little differences in terms of guard break. But to be fair to him as well, Clary has the ability to remove PG. So even in a 5 draft format, once again, he's still quite relevant. But in 6 draft, I don't think he's relevant anymore. Unlike K, who would be less relevant, but at least he's relevant.
I see.
K is long and fun. But Yori can't get it up. Hi, Izio.
He's been putting in all kinds of jokes in the comments, man.
Yeah,
especially earlier when you're talking about jiggling.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing questions about the set cards. I've heard quite a bit of that. Do imprint stones really matter in PvP?
Yeah, I think we can address that offline. Those are not as it's a bit too niche for me to answer. I mean, set cards, best in slot
cards.
Set cards.
I can make a video about that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find this information. It's quite easy to find. I mean, even if you ask in the forums, you'll be able to get the answers. It's not too difficult. Yep.
Yeah, well, even when I see people in my comments ask questions, I'll see others, answering the questions for them.
Yeah, Foggle, do you want to answer the question why is 6 draft so different from 5 draft? I think it's extremely important.
Why is it so different?
Yeah, do you know the answer? Otherwise, I'll answer it.
Well, I mean, well, because I guess there's only so many sweepers in the game.
That's right. Boils
And
down to the number of
I
sweepers.
really think that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, it's just
It all comes down to that. Yep.
it's really just there isn't a lot of sweepers necessarily, and more than likely the players that you're going to face, they're when you have a 6 draft, you're going to be able to get rid of more characters.
Which means more sweepers. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas in the 5 draft, you can only get rid of 2 characters.
Okay, guys. So I'll answer the question: what is defined by a sweeper? So a sweeper is defined by high PG gain, faster PG gain, one hit string combos. Sorry, one KO in one string combo, including a 3PG, and long animation times for the 3PG so that you can refresh your skills to continue the string. So that is what is defined as sweepers, guys. So sweepers are Psyche, Nameless, Goenitz, Pretty Zero. All right. There are some non-meta sweepers. Geese Howard, Ignitz, Orochi Yori is actually a sweeper, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what a sweeper is. I'm seeing so many questions.
Yeah, man, they're bringing them in.
No, but these are quite good questions, though.
Oh yeah. Is Chrysalit a sweeper? When he gets low on HP, he could be.
No, sorry, Chrysalit used to be a sweeper until Awakening came.
Oh yeah, that's right. That kind of ruined it, didn't it?
Yeah, no, actually, okay. So to be fair, he's not a sweeper. Like, I call him a hybrid sweeper because it's conditional. Like you need to get him below 40% of health.
Yeah.
I don't call him a sweeper because if you're playing against top players, right? They'll combo him just before he has 40 health, and then they'll go back into neutral, and then they'll save all the skills to recombo him to kill him before he can even use the 40%. So that's how you handle Chrysalit, yeah. And Chrysalit dropped out on the meta because of the increased number of counter attack players or counter attack characters. Now, when you have counter attack characters, you directly counter Chrysalit's only guard break skill. That's the thing. Yeah. And Awakening skill also counters that because Awakening skill is a counter attack skill. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll just continue the video. Let's see. Okay, what do we have? We have Cloriori versus a 3.5 PG Phoenix PHL. Oh, man. Tough.
Counter attack means interrupt.
Yeah, interrupt skills, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy who asked the question, why is Maxima tier 3? Phoenix PHL just showed you why. Like I said, right? My tier list is based off top players using. I mean, I'm assuming like the perfect player, or sorry, the optimized player is using. Yeah, I don't want to use the word top player. I don't want to use the word. I'm just going to use the word optimized because you have non-top players who specialize in certain characters who are extremely good. So, for example, Snow, she's not a top player, but she is extremely specialized in Ignitz, and I consider her the specialized and optimized player for Ignitz. So when I put Ignitz in this tier, I'm assuming Snow is using her. Get it? Okay. So the reason why Maxima is in tier 3, actually quite a lot of people are saying that she should be in tier 4 or less, is because of what Phoenix is showing in this video, guys. She has extremely I would call her, she is actually a sweeper by definition. Okay. The only thing that is stopping her from being like a tier 1 sweeper is the fact that her 3PG is not easy to connect with. That's the only thing stopping her to put her into tier 1 or tier 2. That's the reason, guys. It's her 3PG. There's no other. Everything else, she fits the bill. High PG gain, reset skills, easy string combos, so on and so forth, right? The only thing that's stopping her from becoming like a true sweeper, like nameless level or psyche level, is because the 3PG is tough to connect. Now, if you look at all the rest of the sweepers, right? All the rest of the sweepers, 3PG are easy to connect. Maybe the exception to rule will be Pretty Zero. But the thing about Pretty Zero, she has the ability to disable roll and as well as to petrify you. So it kind of makes the 3PG easy to okay. So that's why Lady Maxima is in tier 3. However, I do recognize she's a bit difficult to use. Stringing in the basic attacks in between attacks, for example, S3 to S1, and then do you use a basic after, so on and so forth. Those are tough questions, right? But the point is, I made this list based on optimized people using them. So if you want to understand why they're in the positions they are, practice it until you get as good as Phoenix in terms at least of using Maxima, and then you realize why she's in tier 3. Okay. So let's proceed.
All right, I got your. By the way, I put your link in the description.
Nice. Is the link to my Discord? Is it?
Yeah. That's what you wanted, right?
Yep. So guys, if you guys want to meet us in over play us over friendly matches, or just drop, or just for a friendly chat with like the top we have more than 50% of the top 40 players in our guild, so feel free to just pop by and ask us, and play friendly matches with us, so on and so forth. I believe Fogo has left the. Where do you leave the link again, Fogo?
I put it in the description.
Yeah.
And I'm going to label it, though. For some reason, it didn't label it. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Yeah, it should be there. Check this.
Yep. Adele is tier 4 because of his gut break skill being a 50% chance. That's why. If you're playing against top players, Adele isn't a problem in no restrictions week because most of them just block or use the counter attack. It's just something. Like I said, so how you rank characters is always based off their gut break skills. How many of them, including the 3PG skills, if they can reach it fast, I consider that a gut break skill, because a fast 3PG skill, as in you can reach it fast like Nameless, is considered a gut break skill. So how it works is that the more gut break skills you have, the faster it is, the easier it is to connect, whether or not armor is on it, or you have more than one. All those are factors on determining the meta in the tier list. Now, Adele doesn't do well because Adele has 50% chance to stun. That's it. So in other words, right, if you're playing against a good player, most good players block Adele more than dodge, because he has one of the all 3 skills of Adele is very easy to catch. So I was just explaining this to Fogo yesterday. His S1, S2, and S3 are easy to catch even though a person dodges past you. It's just the way the animation is being coded. All his 3 skills have high tick rates for the damage hitbox. So what happens is, while you're dodging, right, in your entire animation phase of dodging, the start and at the end, this hitbox of Adele's S1, S2, or S3 hits it, refreshes very often during this animation phase, and therefore has a superbly high chance, or almost 100% chance, and a very high margin of error to catch an opponent. Now, the converse to this is a character with low tick rates in terms of a damage hitbox in their animation while trying to punish a dodge. Characters like John Cena, characters like John Cena's S2, characters like Rugal's S2. How it works is they don't have the same kind of tick rate coding for hitboxes like Adele's S3, where it's constantly refreshing on the screen, although you don't see it. It's just the way the skill is coded. So what happens is that's why it's easier to catch with an Adele than it is with Rugal's S2 or John Cena's S2. Okay. So I hope that answers why Adele is tier 4. He just doesn't do very well in no restrictions weeks. In traditional fast, he's in the top 6 still. In other words, traditional fast weeks, he is in still meta. Forgo anything else?
No, actually, I was making sure that I had your link labeled because all it said was Discord link, and I was like, no, it's all good though now.
Yep.
I
Okay,
got
I think I'll
set
just
up.
continue the video.
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch. Okay, so remember, guys. So I mentioned mixing things up. So if you remember what Phoenix did, Phoenix didn't use his blaster skills at the start of the round in the previous rounds. But now he decided to. Reason for that is he's mixing things up. So Forgo played with me friendly matches recently. Forgo, maybe you want to explain why mixing things up is important.
Well, it's important because if you become predictable and you start doing the same things, then your opponent knows exactly what you're going to do. They can plan every attack that you're going to do. If you're a dodger, they know you're going to dodge. They know they can catch you. If you're going to use, like, start off with your guard break skill, they are aware of it. They know to get away from it and then block your other skills. If you do the same thing over and over and over, it's going to be easy for them to beat you. If you start mixing it up, even if you take damage, if you start mixing it up, then they start wondering, okay, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to do the second skill? Is he going to do the third skill? And it keeps them on their toes. It keeps them thinking and guessing. And that actually is going to help you, especially the better you get at it. The faster you can change up your game, especially during a game, the better off you'll be. Even if you're doing a skill, like, for example, I have this bad habit where I always want to use my hyper armor and super armor skills first. I always want to use the skills where I can't be interrupted. But see, here's the caveat to that is I become predictable because of that. They know I'm going to do that. Matter of fact, I had a match with a gentleman in low cost week where I was facing a Rio, and he was, and this is the I can't remember, level 60. I can't remember which year he is, the purple one with the super armor on his third skill. What he did was every time I'd use my super armor skill, he would use his super armor, right? And then he would use his first skill, which actually locks you in place when you're using your super armor, build up his PG for his 3 PG card, and then boom. And he did it to me over and over and over because he knew exactly what I was going to do. I was extremely predictable, and I lost that fight because of it. And that's what you don't want. If I would have changed up my game and maybe just let him hit me, like with his third skill, he wouldn't have been able to do that. Maybe I could have won. So that's why you really should mix it up, especially in a fighting game.
Yep. So so I think Semes commented that Adele is able to interrupt everyone with the debuff core, right? I agree. That's actually one of the best cores in the entire game. But the problem here is if the person is blocking, you can't do anything to him. So straight up, right? Adele, when you block against Adele, you're playing a dice roll with him. But at the same time, you're zoning him and you're also able to use your skills. And if you're doing it in an unpredictable way, you're actually gaining advantage over Adele. Okay. So even though he can remove buffs, the key point here is he can't gut break through any, like, he doesn't have a guaranteed gut break. That's the whole issue. Now, people with no guaranteed gut breaks, right? The solution to them is actually blocking a little bit more often than normal. Okay. So a lot of times another weakness of Adele, right, is usually you use S1 and then S3 and then S2, right? At the end, and the S2 animation, that's the animation time where you can use your counter attack skill. That's another problem that Adele has. He has a standing attack animation for his S2, which causes the opponent to stand, which means you can use your counter attack skill. That's why he doesn't do well in no restrictions week as well. Okay.
Oh.
So there's a lot of considerations at the end of the day, but just remember this. when your gut break skill is based on percentage, it really causes the character not to be as strong as those that do have them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really obvious thing. Like I said, once you get more advanced and you start to play with 9K, 10K players, everything revolves around, did your gut break skill go through? If it didn't, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get punished. Because when you're playing against top players, right, you only have one chance. It's always almost always the same case. Yeah. Okay. So come. So what Phoenix did was he changed it up. He used a so Phoenix didn't wait for a catch with his S2. Instead, he went ahead with this, right? S3 first, mixed it up, and then Phoenix even dodged forward. So maybe in Phoenix's mind, maybe his approach for this match is, I'm going to be a bit more offensive. Previous one, I would be a little bit more counter-offensive or maybe more defensive, so on and so forth. Okay, so it starts with S3, dodge forward. Interesting is Phoenix, instead of waiting for things to happen, decides to dodge forward as well. See? Okay, so remember about the zoning and catching thing? Come, let me slow it down. Okay, watch.
Boom. Yep.
So what he's predicting is that Foggle will be spamming dodge. So what happens next? He just takes it easy. In the split second, he made the decision to take it easy, baits moving forward, and decides to stop moving forward and move backwards. Do you see that, guys? So what's happening is that he was baiting Foggle to dodge. So once again, guys, it went back to the same conversation, right? When you dodge out of a juggle, if you know your opponent's cooldowns all skills are in cooldowns, you don't need to dodge like that. Because what will happen is you get punished. Okay. The philosophy is very simple. When you dodge like that, you're exposing yourself because you're standing up. If you're on the floor and wait to get up, there's an invulnerable frame while you're standing up that gives you enough time to make the first move that's within your control. As opposed to this, which is you lose your control by dodging and you're leaving the ball in your opponent's court. So in this case, Phoenix took advantage of that and used his 3PG. And I think it's pretty sure it's game over from here. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you have another chance. Oh no, you don't.
No. Pretty much croaked.
Yeah. Hey, Foggle, we're going for a record, man. One match, almost 2 hours.
Yeah. There's a lot involved in it.
Yeah.
But that's why we wanted to do this, right? That's why we wanted to do this, because I thought it was a great idea for everybody to see just how in depth this really gets.
Yeah. Shall we do another question and answer for this match?
Sure.
And then maybe you want to decide how long do we do one more match, or do we stop today and then continue another one? It's up to you.
All right. Okay. What's up, Ricky? What's going on? We can well, let's see if anybody's got any questions. You guys got any questions out there? There Ezio's asking, who would you draft for a 6th draft pick?
Who would I draft for a 6th draft?
Yeah.
If in the current with the current character pool, is that correct?
Yeah.
Why don't I just pull up my tier list, guys?
There you go, guys.
You guys can see my screen, right? That I'm in the
Oh yeah,
nomination.
but they see it all. It's good to go. Don't worry, man. Everything that you're showing on the Discord, they see.
Okay. Okay, so let's look at the tier list, guys. Can you see?
Can you zoom that thing in? I
Oh
can't.
no.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
wait
I
a
know what
minute.
happened. Oh, I know
My-
what happened. I know what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't zoom that in from my screen.
Okay, I think it's a lot better now. Let me
Oh,
see.
it's much better, much better. They can see it real well now.
Okay, one sec. Okay, so based on the sixth draft, who I would do in a
Did you just recently move Psyche up?
yes, I did. I changed
That's
it
what I
recently
thought.
again.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. I didn't remember him being up there.
Yeah, because Maxima and Yori was added. So the last one that you saw didn't have Maxima and Yori. Foggle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those top
and
four are deadly.
yeah, you also got to take into consideration when more players, when more characters are added, it gets too crowded at the after a while. So you do just need to
Yeah.
naturally move someone up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in the current draft, if it suddenly becomes a sixth draft, like tomorrow, where hopefully Netmarble brings back championships tomorrow, but we'll see what happens, and it becomes sixth draft, right? Then okay. So the thing about drafting, you must also take in consideration which characters you're good at. This is also an extremely important point. There's certain players who just don't do so well with certain characters. So don't mind if I quote 3x Rage. For example, 3x Rage doesn't like to use Lady Big, and it's well known. So he may not draft Lady Big, for example, even though Lady Big is in tier 1, right? So the idea is you want to draft in a way where it suits your strengths. But you also don't want to draft in a way where you keep sticking to the old meta or someone that has already moved on. So I can give you an example of a player who suffers from this. Snow is a good example. So Snow is very insistent that she should still play Rugal and Ignitz. And in the current setup, right, it's really tough for those two characters to do much against the current meta. So although you could be the best in class, best person, and the most optimized player to play a certain character, if they keep going down the tier list, it's really tough. But then again, I'm saying this in the context that you want to optimize your performance. That means your wins. If you're playing championships just to have fun, you don't care about scores, that's fine. Then use the characters that you most enjoy the most. That's the best thing I can recommend you, because that's at the end of the day, that's what you enjoy, right? Playing the game. Okay, but when you're talking just purely about performance, right? Then you need to combine a couple of things. You need to combine the sweepers that will have a high chance of getting banned. In other words, you make sure that your better characters are not banned, for example, then your sweepers are there. So this is the thing that really makes the difference between a 10k player and a 9k player now, is he good at sweepers as well as the characters that are non-sweepers? So the key to becoming extremely good in this game is having a balanced skill or a master of all traits. Okay, in other words, you got to be very good at all characters. That's it. Okay, because once sixth draft comes up, you have situations where opponent will just ban 2 of your sweepers instead of 3, and leave you 1 sweeper and then leave you with 2 non-sweepers, so on and so forth. You got to learn how to deal with all these different permutations. So sixth draft is going to change everything. New people are going to enter top 40. Maybe the top 40 players some of them are going to drop off because of sixth draft. Mark my words. Okay, so to answer the question that Ezio posed, my 6 right would be 3 sweepers still. And then characters that I'm very comfortable with who are not sweepers, maybe like Cena, Big. I might put K-Fest. I might put Vice or the Rock. I use the Rock a lot. I actually use Pretty Zero pretty well as well. But my issue, like I have a more than 2-to-1 win-loss ratio with her. But the reason why I don't like to play her is because she's very gambly. Like her guard break skill is 30%. I don't like that at all. It's something I want to have more consistent results with, so I tend not to use her. So the idea here is you want to use characters that you do the best in. I might be starting to use Kamui because Kamui is like a wild card because Kamui has the ability to remove hyper armor, which is extremely powerful. I might be exploring with Lady Brianna. I'm pretty decent at her. I think Foggle experienced that a lot, and like last night or 2 nights ago. And for those who play with me in the guild Discord, I use Lady Brianna almost a lot. I've easily reached 100 games with her in friendly matches alone. Okay, another one that I might use in the 6 draft format is Kula Valentine, because it suits my playstyle. I don't know whether you guys know who Dian is, but Dian is a very good user of Kula. You should go and watch. Okay, is Crix? Crix, are you in this chat, Crix?
Yeah, he was. I don't know if he's in and out.
Yeah, Crix is pretty decent with Kula as well. So Crix, if you're there, right, be sure to draft your Kula during 6 draft. I think you'd give hell to a lot of people. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, does that answer the question?
Crix is in here, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hi Crix. Yeah, Crix is here, I see. Yeah, Crix, so I was just commenting that your Kula is, in my opinion, the best. You're probably the best at Kula based on my limited viewing of your channel. So I watch your streams and your friendly matches. I think your Kula is in terms of optimized skill, it's above all your other characters. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
For 6 draft KOF original.
What top 6 is it?
Yeah.
KOF original is quite obvious, guys. It's Psyche. It's Goenitz. It's nameless.
Yeah.
It's K-Fest. It's Yori, and then it's Adele. So guys, if you look down the list, right, you just follow the met. So if it's like KOF original, Fest Week, just remove all the non-original KOFs, and you can just see your list from there.
There's a question I did see that I'm going to ask you is, why is Kim at tier 3, Kim Kapwan? Because a lot of people are going to see that and they're going to be like, remember what I told you when I saw this list? Like they're gonna wonder why. So go ahead.
Yeah, so guys, once again, I'm gauging this based on optimized usage. The best user of Kim, Lolly Kim, is Yurgen. So if you guys go to his channel and watch Yurgen use Lolly Kim, you would freak out. Like, you'll be mind blown, guys. And the reason for that, right? I think the closest person who can replicate what Yurgen is doing in global server is nobody. So not even Phoenix. Although Phoenix is able to use Lolly Kim, able to do her infinite basic attack cancel. But the thing about Phoenix is that he doesn't really use defensive characters as well as his sweepers. So the way he's using Lolly Kim is not the right way, in my opinion. Sorry, Phoenix. So nobody in global other than Yurgen, right? He's able to use Lolly Kim very well. But the point is, she has that potential. She's not even has that potential. She can be used that well. Lolly Kim, the way you use her, right, is similar to Kula Valentine, where you're depending on the CC bomb to trigger before you initiate your attack. Everything else in between is just to make sure you can survive long enough to recycle that engagement. Okay, if you have the ability to do cancel basic, which is extremely important, if Lolly Kim did not have her cancel basic with her cancel basic basically knocks people up in the air non-stop. It's very similar to Leona, Fairs, and you can do it infinitely in the corner. Okay, if she didn't have her cancel basic, she'll be in tier 4 or at the end of tier 3. Okay, but all else being equal, she is extremely durable. Her kit, the only thing missing from a kid, in my opinion, is a counter attack. If she had a counter attack, right, she'd go into tier 2 immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, see, on my tier list, she's like, she's on a lower tier because my tier list isn't based on the best players. Mine's based on just average players that play the game, right? So
Yep.
she's on a lower level because nobody really plays her well. They
Correct.
can't. You never see her in championship, and when you do, I mean, I faced a couple guys that were okay with her, but it's not. It just wasn't deserving of being in a higher tier.
Yep.
You know.
Anyway, there are about 4 people I know who are using Lolly Kim now in their lineup,
Hmm.
and they're quite decent. So my
Oh,
point being
I
is, just because you don't see them, doesn't mean they're not around.
yeah.
So you'll find that Lolly Kim will give a lot of trouble to quite a lot of characters, including Nameless, actually.
Damn
Okay.
petrified.
Yeah. And then she holds her ground pretty well against the rock as well, because
Mm.
she has 3 options to get out of the rock. One is blocking to trigger her SA core. The other one is a HA skill, and the third one is a petrified bomb. So all in all, right, her kit is really quite good. The only thing stopping her from going higher is her gut break skill is pretty short distance, uh, and it's not as fast.
Mm. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm actually working on her right now, trying to level her up, just out of curiosity. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys, you can drop by our Discord and we can just use Lolly Kim to show you how you can abuse her. I'm pretty decent at her. I'm not the best. But she really puts up a good fight, just straight up. If you play her right, to me, she's like another Kula Valentine.
Mm.
Yeah, I think for today. So there's a guy asking about cost 60 and below. I think for today we'll keep it to
Best.
cost 60 and above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, guys, we'll do this again, man. I mean, we'll do it again. It's seems like it's been pretty positive. So, you know, I'm that's awesome. I mean,
Yep.
like I said, the whole point of this kind of stream is to help you, to help me, to help all of us. It's to make us better. Obviously you got to put in the work and you got to practice and you got to play. You're not just going to listen to all this and just all of a sudden, be a great player. But having the knowledge helps you.
Yep. So I also just want to point out that I think Foggle shared a very good point, that most tier lists out there, maybe based off the average, the average gamer, or sorry, the average player, excuse me.
Hmm.
So if I redid this tier list, and then change the conditions to not the optimized player using them, but just the average player, I can tell you there's certain characters that would be shooting up to tier 2 or 3. So Rugal is one
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, I have him in
Omega
Triple S.
Rugal is extremely effective against the average player, guys. That
Yeah,
is something you all need to take note of. However, once you start to reach the higher end players, if you put Rugal in your lineup, it's like a free win for us. So don't use Rugal once you go higher up. But against the average player, guys, Rugal is extremely tough because they just don't have enough knowledge or the experience to deal with a Rugal.
yeah, I mean, I have him at the Triple S tier because I mean, he is good where we're at. Where a lot of us players are at. He's damn good. He's a versatile character that can fight about anybody because of his kit, the way he's designed.
Rugal is a free win. Although Phoenix is saying it's not. He's saying Rugal is not a free win when he is using it. That's why, guys. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying
It's
when,
Phoenix.
yeah. So Phoenix shouldn't be saying that. So that's just cherry picking his own capability with Rugal. Because I specifically said the average player, guys. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Phoenix, you're not the average player, my friend.
exactly. And then yeah, I think there is. Let me see that. I saw a pretty good question.
Can a basic cancel be
Yeah.
stopped?
So why? Sorry, and I saw a question. Why is Lady Big at tier 1?
Ah,
Foggle, maybe you want to answer that based on your knowledge.
why is Lady Big at tier 1?
Do you agree with that? First of all,
Hell yeah, I agree with it easily. Lady Big's a tier 1 because of her damn CC effect, that damn stun. She's also a great juggler. She combos super well. She has great native stats. She has an interrupt skill on her third skill. She's just, man, she's tough to deal with. She builds her PG up super fast.
correct.
If you get her 5 PG ready, if you get that damn thing all the way up, that skill's freaking nuts. It's she's Lady Big. The only thing missing from her kit is ignore guard. Slap a Ryoga set on her, and then you jumped her HP up. You increased her decreased damage received on a defensive character, nonetheless, with hyper armor, and she has dot effect with the poison. I mean, she's just she combos super well. She has good basics. I mean, she's just an all around terrific character, especially for PvP.
Yep.
It's you
So
can't.
I understand that I to be fair to what Foggle said, she doesn't have any guard break skill. But remember what I said. I consider fast PG gain to be a guard break skill.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yep, and then I also considered. I did mention that certain cores can be considered a guard break skill as well.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it's quite clear her stun core is a guard break skill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, guys. So I know some people are arguing on the term guard break, right? Okay, fine. It's not exactly guard break skill, but it's able to bypass a guard. So
well,
bypass skills. Okay, let's just call it bypass guard skills. If you guys are wondering about the technicalities, it's just
yeah.
semantics. Yep.
In KOF, any CC effect it's a guard break effect. You know,
Yep.
when they petrify, they're not guarding. When they stun, they're not guarding. I mean, we can argue semantics, but it's still. I mean, you're still maybe not technically breaking their guard, but you're going to be able to hit them. That's the point.
Yep.
They
Yep.
can't guard against you during those CC moments. They can't do it.
Yep. And she's easily one of the best jugglers in the game. Oh yeah. So I remember just now someone asked who's the counter to Goenitz. I think the closest person that can counter Goenitz is probably pretty big. She's probably the one in this entire meta right now that has, on paper, in my opinion, the best advantage against Goenitz. But
Mm-hmm.
straight up, I will also tell you, if Goenitz is an optimized player, you'll find that Pretty Big will have trouble as well. I think the only way that Pretty Big can defeat an optimized Goenitz player is Ryoga breaking at the right timing. That's the only way. If you're playing against an optimized Goenitz player with a Pretty Big, I don't think it's possible to beat the Goenitz still. Yeah. But on paper, she has the best kit, relatively speaking, to the rest of what's available in the battlefield to be up against a Goenitz. Yep.
Well, Dinesh, just because she can counter him, don't mean she always will. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm just saying on paper,
and vice versa,
speaking,
by the way.
the rest of everybody else.
I mean,
So relative is the keyword, guys. Yep.
yeah, I'm seeing Psyche a lot for Goenitz. Again, it's
Yeah, no, Psyche is okay. So the way to beat Psyche, guys, is to clash with him. Goenitz clashes quite well with Psyche actually. So the key is the use of the HA. The timing of it is extremely important for the clash. On paper, I still favor a Goenitz over Psyche. Simply because you're able to just, even if you don't have enough PG to finish off Psyche, right? I mean, if you guys ever clash with a Goenitz, if you have your hype super armor on and he uses his S2, he doesn't need to finish his full animation, right? But you take the full damage of S2. That's something I really don't like about like that's really painful. So it's the same for the Rock Dwayne Johnson, right? Fast version. If you're having your SA on and he uses his S2 or his S3, the animation time is much less, but the full damage occurs faster. So it's really quite a bitch. Yeah.
yeah, it's Yeah, Goenitz is a nightmare, man. He's freaking stupid. He's a
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
He's a character that I'd almost say needs to be nerfed just a little bit.
yeah. He's really, in my opinion, too powerful, lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now John Cena. Okay, so guys, the reason why John Cena is above Goenitz, right, is because I'm assuming an optimized player is using him again. But however, if you use the average player, right, then Goenitz is definitely much higher than John Cena because the average player using John Cena is terrible at him, by the way. But the average player using Goenitz is not terrible at. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
Guinness is much easier to play.
Yeah, because his skill ceiling is a lot lower. That's why. John Cena is a lot tougher to use. It's because
Mhm.
of his animation. Like his catching animation is a bit. I mean, if you had to point out a weakness in his game, it's
Mhm.
John Cena's catching animation. That's my only issue with him. Yep.
Some jokes here about you can't see him.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh man.
Five knuckle shuffle, right? Right.
Yeah. I always mess
Yep.
up facing him because I don't guard that damn second skill. I dodge it, and they hit that damn third skill right and catch me,
Yep.
bastard.
Undertaker's at the bottom tier. Soft guard, is that your name?
Yeah,
Yep.
Solvent guard. Yeah.
The power of Undertaker is short range, slow animation speeds, and lack of gut break. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Unfortunately, they didn't do Undertaker justice.
Yeah.
If you
Unfortunately.
if any of you don't notice, nobody talks about him. Nobody. I don't ever see him, even in like the 7,000 league and championship. I never would see him. He nobody. I mean, I don't see anybody playing him. You can't use him in Hell's Dungeon. You can't. Well, I guess you could, but his PG, his ultimate animation as a grab, you can't grab those characters. You can't use them in the Immortal Victor. You can't use. It kind of sucks, actually. Kind of a bummer the way they
Yeah.
designed him.
They should have made him more relevant for PvP.
They
They
should
really
have.
should have.
I wish they would have. They did John wonderful. They took care of him. Even the gold characters, you know, Seth and uh oh, it's slipping my mind now. Becky. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean they're
Yeah.
freaking Becky
Becky's
especially. I mean, she's freaking good.
Yeah, I didn't roll for Becky, guys. So it's one of my biggest regrets. She's extremely cool.
Yeah, I got her. I don't think I got her card though. I got Seth and his card.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Uh, yeah, that's tier 8. Whoever's asking for tier 8. Kristen Teo.
some of you are gonna
Yeah,
get
anyway,
triggered on that.
let's keep the conversation to fast characters. I think the conversation on non-fast, we can save that for another week. But yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Fogo, when you want to end the stream, I'm cool with maybe 12. Then maybe we can just chat for the last 18 minutes. I think that's okay. And then maybe we can just answer a few last questions, and then let's talk about next steps and when the next session is, so on and so forth. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. With the streams, I mean, I hmm, I'm trying to stream KOF twice a week. So it's I still want to do the regular streams, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no problem. Of course. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Just let me know what your schedule is, and then we can.
We'll work out something. We'll definitely do this again for sure. Do you
Yeah,
guys
no
have any
worries.
questions for Saint? I mean, is there anything you guys are curious about? Any a mechanical effect or something in the game that you're not sure about?
Yep. Anyway,
I mean,
someone asked whether I'm Singaporean. I am Singaporean. Yep.
yeah. Becky should be above Condo, huh?
When will championships come back? Oh man.
Hopefully
If you can
tomorrow.
answer that, please let me know, guys. If you know a person who can answer that, please let me know.
How to cancel basic attack. Oh, you already went over that once.
Yeah. Hey, watch TV. How are you, man? Yeah. So okay, I'll just say it again because it's
All right.
quite easy to say. So cancel basic is when you're pressing your attack button, you must be moving forward or backwards, and then press block, then rinse and repeat. That's it. So I say again,
Whenever
basic
oh,
attack while pressing forward or backward, and then press block, rinse and
uh,
repeat.
I got a question for you about it. If you're so I get you're holding the direction, facing or backing away, right? And you're hitting the guard, and then you're going back and forth between the guard and your basic attack. When you're using your basic attack, say for example, you got a character that you do like 2 hits, 2 punches, right? And you're
Yep.
guarding in between those 2 punches. Are you tapping the basic attack twice, or are you just holding it, letting it do the 2 hits, and then guarding?
Okay, so to answer this question, guys, is you gotta do the testing in the virtual training room yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Certain characters you just need to press 1 and then 2 animation hits comes out. Some is 3, some is just 1. So you just
Okay.
gotta be familiar how many attack animations comes out, as in hitboxes comes out, and then decide accordingly when you should cancel, or how many times you should be pressing the attack button.
So for some characters, it's just gonna be once. Some characters, it's gonna be more than once.
Yep, that's right.
I got you.
Yep.
Ah.
Okay, Fogger, you choose the questions, man. I'm seeing so many. I don't know what to answer.
What card set would be good for dot effects, and how does dot effects work? Well, dot effects is lingering damage, man. It's like whenever a character gets bled or chilled, they're going to take a certain amount of damage for a certain amount of time. Generally, it's about 7 seconds in the game. So, like for example, say you got a character that has damage immunity, and you do a dot effect to them. Dot effect is damage over time. If you do a dot effect to them, say for example, you use an Haramaru, you use his 3rd skill, you apply bleed on a character. The bleed lasts for 7 seconds, okay? And that character uses their immunity. Well, during the immunity, the bleed won't take effect. But once that immunity finishes, for the remaining 4 seconds of the bleed, it will. It will drain them of their life. It will start eating away at them. And then when it finishes, the cycle will start over, and you're starting off fresh again. Hyper armor and immunity only prevent dot effects during the time of the immunity and hyper armor. That's it. Once those things finish, the bleed or chill or whatever dot effect is still going to remain. Correct?
Yep.
I mean, because I've tested this
Dot is
stuff.
affected by your base damage, and your base damage is determined by your base stats.
Yeah.
Not your boosted stats. So percentage increase or multiplier effects.
Yeah, that's
so
why
in other words, Noah. There's a video out there comparing Noah damage to the Gintama bleed set.
Mm-hmm.
The bleed set deals more effective damage post the last hit because of the dot effect. But Noah is able to keep up with the damage per hit with the bleed set. But the moment you let the bleed happen after your last hit, at the end of the bleed, effectively it deals more damage. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dot effects are extremely powerful in KOF. I mean,
yeah,
when you see characters that have that on them, they're great for all game modes. They're not all great, but these fest versions with the purple border around them, these characters that have these dot effects, they are very powerful because they have lingering damage. The damage keeps affecting the opponent. It's so even when you're not even hitting them, they're taking damage. It's
Yep.
and that's what I mean. Like when the immunity and hyper armor wears off, when that 3 seconds is gone, and if you applied it right at the beginning, if you applied dot effect right at the beginning of immunity or hyper armor, against your opponent, you're going to have 3-4 seconds of dot effect doing damage to that character. That crap's powerful. It's like when we see those kinds of effects on characters, we're getting giddy. We're getting giddy
Yeah,
because we know
that's true.
what it
It's a
means to
stagger effect.
KOF. Yeah, it's
Yep.
it's it's godly in this game. It's not just for PvP either. It's godly for game modes.
Yeah, for PvE. Yeah. Hey, I've
Oh
got a
yeah,
good question by Woody Woodpecker. I think Woody Woodpecker mentioned that basic cancel
cheating.
to him is some sort of cheating. I know how to do
Yeah,
it, but it's not fair to use it.
yeah,
I kind of agree with that. Um, Woody, I know it's interesting that you shared it. It's a bit controversial. Um, so in Korea, basic cancel is frowned upon in the Korean server. Like Yurgen, who's the number one Korean player, he gets some flack for using it. Plus, he's using an emulator, so he makes it easier as well. So I do agree with you. It's kind of like I don't call it a glitch, but it is a gap in the way things were designed. I don't think it was intended to be used that way. So in that sense, some people might say it's cheating. Personally, I don't do it too much. Most of the time, I just finish the basic attack string without using a basic cancel. Now, the reason for that is because of the awakening skill. These days, if you choose to do basic cancel, you're putting yourself at risk because there's an awakening skill to kind of hit you back in the face,
yeah,
right? So sometimes I just end my basic string normally as opposed to basic cancel nonstop, to abuse the E dodge cooldown. I don't do that. That's because I fear the awakening skill. Okay, so when you're playing against top players, once again, awakening skill, it could be could literally just turn around the match. So the reason why Pretty Zero is at the top of tier 2, guys, is because of awakening skill. Her She didn't used to be so highly ranked. She used to be tier 2, but maybe more towards the end, towards where Kamui is. But because of the awakening skill, right, it's made her so deadly, just so deadly. I'm sure you guys have experienced games where you have lost because she uses an awakening skill, and then all three skills of hers can connect with the awakening skill, and then GG.
yeah, yep. Good game. Yep. Or BG, bad game.
Yeah, I really hate I really hate that that count, like the awakening skill to counter thing is quite annoying lah. Yeah, I have to admit. And the worst thing is when you put the awakening skill is extremely valuable on sweepers. That's why.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely changed the game. That is for sure. It
Anyway,
added.
sorry. So to handle that, right, guys, to handle awakening skill, know when to block more. You just block more often. I keep explaining it. Like the difference between, like, if you really want to shoot up to be a more consistent player, you need to block more often and dodge more sparingly. Yeah.
Yeah, the opposite of what I do, pretty much.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll change now. Oh, pretty sure.
Well, if I get beat up enough, I'm sure I'll learn.
Sometimes it's not about experiencing failure, right? Sometimes it's about knowing what to do to be successful and just doing it. Ooh.
I think it's really probably more of a combination of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, guys, shall we take a last question since it's coming towards what do you call this? 12 o'clock. Yep.
Yeah, we started streaming at what, 8:30, so
Yeah, it's 12 on my
it'll
time.
be it'll
So
be
we
it'll be
start
2.5 hours and 8 minutes.
2.5 hours. Yeah, that's right. Oh, inset. This one tough question. Rich asking.
Yeah,
I can't answer
actually
that.
I get tons of questions about that.
Yeah, I can't answer that. To me, inset is too much of a gamble, so I rather not use it. Yep.
Yeah.
2.5 hours, Faye.
Yeah, man. Well, that's a lot to talk about. Believe it or not, guys, everything that he just said to you, I did the same thing with him, just me and him, or him and I. I've listened to all this already once, and you know what? it was just as interesting the second time.
Yeah. As long as the subject matter is new matches, there's always new things to learn. That's what I realized. I think somebody mentioned. Okay, so actually, inset is. Okay, guys, don't underestimate the inset. It's true. How the inset works, right? Is you must understand that characters that have low penetration. Okay, so in RPG games, you need to understand the damage multiplier effects of adding new variables. Okay, so if you have an index of 1 damage, adding inset adds to your penetration. What do you call it? Multiplier. So generally speaking, right, your damage multiplies exponentially when you're putting it on a character that has less penetration than normal.
Hmm.
That's how it works. So, in other words, right, penetration. If I have a very low penetration score and you put inset on me, effectively it increases my damage more than somebody who has high penetration to begin with, and you're putting more penetration. So if you guys do what is it theory crafting? Yeah, if you guys do theory craft, so I play Diablo 3, right? And I used to do PvP in Diablo 3 like competitively when it was out. There was just a short window before they destroyed the balance.
Hmm.
So what happened was you need to understand how effective damage is being calculated. So penetration on the inset is valuable for characters that have low penetration to begin with, because they don't gain as much multiplier effect from the penetration stat. That's how it works, guys.
So what he's saying is characters that have high penetration, they're not going to benefit from it as well as a
Not going to
character that has
benefit
low
as much.
penetration. So
That's right.
characters like Orochi Iori, pretty zero.
Yeah. No, inset doesn't mean more raw damage. I'm saying it depends on your character's penetration stat. Um, so you must take in consideration. So there are a couple of damage multipliers in each character, right? Your attack stat, your base attack stat first, your boosted attack stat, and then your your penetration, and then your skills that add damage multipliers as well. All those count. Or the active skill damage increase. Those are all considered damage multipliers. So how it works in theory crafting for games, right? Higher effective DPS depends on boosting which of these damage multipliers, is boosting the weakest damage multiplier. Then you gain the most effects. That's how it works.
Hmm.
Okay, for those who don't know, when you see your option card and it says plus 3.5% attack, that's a damage multiplier. That is not your base damage. Your base damage is your base stats.
Yeah. That's why whenever you put an imprint stone on a character that has, say you put an imprint stone on a character that has 30,000 CP versus a character that has 40,000 CP, you're going to see a bigger difference on the 40,000 CP.
Yep. Yurgen is the best WWE rock player that I know of. Yep. If you ask, someone wrote actually Yurgen is good with all. I don't think he's good with nameless. That's why he doesn't use nameless. But yeah.
I don't know if anybody's perfect with all the characters, but
Yeah, Yurgen is pretty much the most skilled player in. I'm putting out there, guys. Yurgen is the best Kofast player that I have come across. Yep. So I know he plays with an emulator, and that kind of gives him a 15% or 20% performance increase. But even if you take that away from him, he'll still be there. Yep.
yeah, solid.
Saint versus Foggle. Yeah,
We
I
actually
can. I think we can do that another time.
yeah, we
Maybe not
definitely
today.
can, guys. I mean, I'll be happy to play Saint on here, man. We were doing it last night. Yeah. Matter of fact, this pecker kept me awake all night.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we can have a separate session for that. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
no, good
anyway,
times, man.
let's see. Last question. Can you guys ask more PvP specific questions as opposed to sets and stuff? Because I think the set information, like best in slot sets and cards, uh, you can find that quite easily on the forums actually. Yep.
Whenever,
Uh,
whenever, I got a question for you for a
okay, I tell you
PvP.
what. Okay, Fogel, you have the last question. Okay, so this is yep.
So whenever, like, say for example, like, I dodge past a character, right? And I want to go into a skill as soon as I pass that character, right? As soon as I dodge them, you would probably generally say that's probably a bad idea, period, right? Because they're probably going to be able to catch me.
Uh, that's one. If not, then probably be able to dodge it. So you want to mix things up. When you see top players play, they don't always cast a skill immediately, and yeah,
Well,
that's it.
my question though is, if I hit that skill, it's automatically going to face the opponent, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. But
So
do you think?
I think there could be a scenario where you could be using the skill defensively. So I'll give you an example. Like Rugal, right? He corners you, and he's
Yeah.
about to use his God Press. But
Yeah.
instead of using his God Press, he uses his stun ball, right? S3. You could dodge past him. Uh, and then, in your opinion, you feel that dodge is not good enough to re-dodge because you'll dodge back into the stun ball. So, in other words, the only other option you have is to use your armor skill to clash with his hyper armor, so that in the event that he uses his guard press, which is his guard break skill or the guard bypass skill, S2, at least you won't get staggered into a string. So those are considerations when when you dodge immediately, you can use the skill defensively, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Hmm.
So another good one is like Kula Valentine, right?
Yeah.
So you just dodge past the stun ball. Maybe you use S2 instead. So it could be a scenario, right, where he uses his S2, but then the freeze from your S2 sets in, and he raises his S2. So just things like that. Yeah,
Hmm. I got you. I got you. I got you. Ryoga sets the best set for nameless.
yeah, Banan. Taken used to be. Oh, by the way, Taken used to be stronger than Ryogo before Awakening, but when Awakening came up, Ryogo became stronger.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I
Yeah.
still. Oh man, I remember fighting Nameless without Awakening and against a Nameless with Taken set. It was so imbalanced, man. It was oh
Well, yeah, because he still crits even if you're guarding.
yeah, and the thing
So
is,
he's still
right?
building his damn
It's
PG up like
over the
crazy.
moment you get 3 PG. The point is, it's over when it gets 3 PG, and there was no awakening skill in the past. It was easy.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, that's why that set was so freaking OP on him. But now these days, I mean, I agree 100% with you. The Ryugo set definitely is, hands down, in my opinion, better.
Yeah, Abe. Taken more. Even though you have higher CP, but the utility that you get from Ryogo is a lot more than Taken. So
But yeah,
effectively, if you scale different games with Nameless with Taken versus Nameless Ryogo, you'll win more games with Ryogo. Um,
yeah, Awakening did
however,
change everything.
once again, this caveat is playing against optimized players. So the average Nameless player would fare better with Taken. Reason for this is because the average player, when he reaches 3 PG, the opponent will most likely have already used the awakening skill and then get screwed. So those are also
Hmm.
consideration, guys. Yep.
I actually had problems getting away from his Awakened skill, but I remember the tips you told me.
Yep. So general rule of thumb, guys, never, ever use your awakening skill before uh, a character uses their 3 PG. Okay. The only time you use your awakening skill before that is when you know you can combo to finish the game. Um, because it's almost always better to just take the string damage and then let the guy cast his 3 PG on you, and then use your awakening, as opposed to cast your awakening early, get out of the string damage, but then once he casts his 3 PG, he continues with a second set of string. Get my point? Yeah. So use of your awakening skill is do or die. It's a win or lose kind of it's like it's the money shot, I call it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why when you play with characters in friendly match or whatever without Awakening skills, you freaking big disadvantage.
Exactly. So if you're using your awakening skill just to mitigate one skill, you're absolutely wasting it. Okay, so that's another thing that separates the average player from a decent player. Yep.
Hmm. Somebody's asking about Gintoki.
Nah, I didn't. Gintoki Fest, once again, 50% chance to gut break.
Yeah.
Pretty harsh skill. If it's 100%, he'd be higher on the tier list. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid character and he's a damage dealing monster with that damn bleed. But yeah, I find him kind of wonky to play too, to be honest, myself. I mean, I love Gintoki, but it's almost like when I play him, like I don't want to let the third skill play completely out.
Yeah. Okay, so I see Rage having a bit of like Rage is a Adele player. He loves Adele. So he's saying why is Adele so lower tier, right? So I mean, hey Rage, so I'm just gonna be fair to you. I mean, he's at the front of tier 4, which means he's gonna be in tier 3 when newer characters come out, so don't worry. The reason why Adele doesn't reach higher, like I said, is the percentage chance for gut break, right? And second thing is, even against sweepers, against good players, sweepers can still cause you trouble.
3 times raise the sport.
Yeah, no, it's the whole idea of the gambling with the 50%. And I mean, it's so costly for Adele to get hit once because he loses. And the thing is, you always put Adele up front, right? So if you're playing another sweeper up front, you're kind of like giving them, like, they want you to put Adele up front so that they'll take the fight, right? And if they win, they sweep you. But if you win, you don't sweep them. So it's like it's just, it boils down to the math, right? At the end of the day, Adele's a great character, but they're just better characters out there. And assuming optimized gameplay, they're not gonna do stupid things like dodge pass Adele, and they're gonna do stupid things like not block as well. Because really, the solution to Adele is just blocking a little bit more often than normal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I screw up against him. Big time.
Yep.
Freaking dodging everything, and he just does his damn second skill, catches you.
And actually, guys, I want to mention another thing that's really okay. So if Adele's S3 was stunned on first hit, then he will be in tier 3. But because his S3, which is his guard break skill or guard bypass skill, whatever you want to call it, is stunned after last hit, that's the problem with him being so low on the tier list, guys. Because there's a gap when Adele jumps into the air, and you can actually use your skill, armor skill, to neutralize the situation, although he can remove the buff after, but then there's a 30% chance. But the keyword here is at least you don't take the full brunt of the stun. So I'll give you a classic example. Adele versus Rugal, right? So Adele starts off with S3. I think after the second hit animation, he rises up to the air, and then Rugal is able to cast his S3 stun ball, stuns Adele, and it's back to neutral if both of them are stunned. If you're not stunned, Rugal will just cast his God Press and deal a lot of damage to poor son of his. Good smack in the face.
Yeah, he melts him pretty quick.
Yep. Like, good Rugal players will time the stun in such a way where they'll just genocide Carter. The last hit will actually hit you without the super armor, and then continue the string and then destroy you after. So if you look at really good players, right, they can even count the amount of time you get CC'd so that they'll time the end of your super armor, and and they will just continue into a string. Yep.
It's gonna be funny whenever I do a tier list, and they're gonna see mine's gonna look different than this, and they'll be like, "What the hell?"
No, I think Toggle, I think after a while your tier list will just change naturally.
Oh, it's gonna change already. I'm already gonna be making some changes to it, not because of this, but because I just feel like metas have shifted. I feel like things have changed.
Yeah, so the most important thing to take note when you're doing your own tier list, guys, is to make sure that you don't create your own bias. I think that's the most important.
Oh
So
yeah,
if I
yeah.
created my own tier list, right, I mean, I'd be putting my favorite characters and characters that I like to use
Yeah.
more often in better positions. But because
Yeah.
I have a lot of data points, I have my own guild, which hosts more than 50% of the top 40 players in the world. I have I've done thousands of videos on streaming top players and so on and so forth. I've recorded every single week's top 40 players and their final positions. I mean, with this kind of level of data, I'm able to objectively put characters at certain places because I understand how a character is being used, assuming it's optimized. So this entire tier list is based off optimized usage as opposed to average usage. Yeah.
Another person in the comments, Lionel, he commented that my tier list also includes like PvE. It's not solid PvP. So
Does that true?
that's another reason that my tier list would be different than this. Like it's like some characters on my list I feel like are triple S in PvP, and I feel like they're just double S tier in PvP, but they're triple S in PvE. Like Geese Howard. Geese Howard to me is triple S tier monster in PvE. He's ridiculous. I think he's a good PvP character, but I think he requires a lot of skill, and there's a lot of weapons he doesn't have that would make him so much better, right? But he is strong. He is strong, but he's got there's things about his kit that just it makes him a bit tricky to play. But man, in PvE, he's just an insane monster, and that's so I have him ranked at like just SS tier because I just don't think he's good enough in PvP. Combined with the PvE, really, I should probably just have two separate tier lists. But I found when I started to do that you're gonna find a lot of characters do damn well in PvE. You're gonna find, especially with the awakened skills, you're gonna find they do real well. So it sometimes can be hard to judge it.
Yep. But anyway, when you revise your tier list, I'm pretty sure you separate PvE and PvP because they're extremely different tier lists. So guys, actually, there's a tier list that has more views than mine in the forums, but I think it's written by Farafaz.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why he doesn't change the title, but that tier list is specifically for AI PvP, as in infinite fight and league. So that tier list is specifically for versus AI. Yep. So there's only one other person that does a tier. Sorry, there's only one person who does a tier list for championships, and that's me. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, actually, I think the PvP list would be easier than doing a freaking PvE list, to be honest.
Yeah, fair point. Drop your B2s more. You asked about why Lily Kim is that high. We've already explained it earlier in the stream in quite a lot of detail. Can someone just reply? Yep. Yeah, Foggle, I agree with Sam S. It's getting late. I don't mind wrapping it up.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yep. Your call.
All right, guys.
It's your stream.
Well, guys, first thing I do is I just want to say thank you to Saint for doing this for us. We'll definitely do it again. It looks like it's really positive outcome. Seems like you guys really enjoyed it, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here, for joining the stream, for supporting the channel, and for listening to what Saint had to say. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you again to you, Saint, for doing this for us, man. I really appreciate it.
Sorry, who's you Saint?
Huh?
Oh, you Saint. Sorry, I thought you were talking about
to you. I'm talking to you.
Sorry. All right. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, thank you very much, Foggle, for inviting me over. I think just to take a step back. I mean, we did this because we really wanted to grow the community. It's coming to a point where Kofas is reaching a stage where people are hitting the end game. And when you hit the end game, that's when people decide, am I going to stay vested into this game or am I going to quit?
Yeah.
So we're at the crossroads, guys. As a community, we are at the crossroads to decide. The future is in our hands, whether or not Kofast is going to stay for 5 years or 1 year. And how we grow, how we keep the content keep coming up, how more content means more views means more players, more new players, so on and so forth, right? So everything is a collective effort, and we really gotta encourage each other. Now that we're in the end game, what do we do next? What else is there next to do? How do we grow from here? Because if you don't innovate and you don't start thinking out of the box, you naturally drop the game. Yeah. And yeah, so thank you very much, Foggle. I just want to end with so if you guys want to see more of what I talk about in action, and if you guys want to play with like the top 40 players, just feel free to join the Discord link that Foggle has provided in this
in the
YouTube stream.
description. Yep.
Yep. And then I'll see you guys there. Meanwhile, if you want to communicate with me, that's also a great place to pop by and then PM me on Discord. Otherwise, I'm pretty active in the forums. I'm always coming out with white papers and like data analytics about the game. So feel free to also comment on those, so on and so forth. Yep. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's okay,
I hope
Phoenix.
you enjoyed the session today, guys. Yep. Foggle, thank you very much.
All right, man, you're welcome. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.